Hello everybody and welcome back to the Dough Cooking Show. Welcome back to the Dough Cooking Stream. I hope you're all having a beautiful Friday. Everybody, today's episode is going to be excellent. It's going to be quite maximalist. We have so much that we need to get done today. And it's going to be, above all else, quite delicious. So I see that we have all of my lovely sous chefs in the chat. Hello to Shy Chica. Hello to Alexis. Hello to Tulina Chess. Hello to Trash Can Cat Mom. Hello to Dosky. Hello to Gracefully Insane. It is lovely to have each and every single one of you here today. Hello to Two Dads Kissing today. That's right. We have a new stream today. It's a new... Well, we're halfway into the week already. Look at them guns. That's right. School of Rock and Roll and I Hate Food Flies. Welcome on in. It is lovely to have each and every single one of you, as well as to Rosie is Cozy. Okay, that's enough introductions. That's enough saying hello. If I didn't get to you, well, it's too late, and I'll say hi to you later on. Everybody, today we're going to be doing some Korean food, and I love Korean food, and I love Korean food to death, and I specifically love teaching Korean food. The reason why I love teaching Korean food is specifically because going out for Korean food, especially in the United States, there's not a lot of places, and it can get incredibly expensive. Now, normally we do things that I think are really easy to do at home. The things that I'm going to be doing today I think is going to be best for something like a Friday night. You got off work, you have a nice little weekend ahead of you, and you want to make yourself or maybe a loved one a nice little special treat today, my friends. We're going to be doing two things. We're going to be doing a fresh style kimchi, as opposed to the fermented kimchi that most people are really used to. A fresh style kimchi you'll often see sometimes served at KBBQ. It's really nice to also have at home. It doesn't have any of the super strong fermented flavors, but it is still sweet, it is still pungent, it is still flavorful, and it is still delicious. And so I'm going to walk you through how to do a fresh kimchi today. And of course, Korean cooking iconic of kimchi. And then, my friends, we're going to be doing a glass noodle bowl that is somewhat inspired by a japchae. In fact, some would probably still call it a japchae. It's going to be done with pork, it's going to be done with mushrooms, it's going to be done with some spinach, as well as some carrot, among a few other little things. I love Korean food and I love japchae. Everybody, I know I've said love so many times already, but I do love glass noodles. I think that everybody should be eating more glass noodles. Glass noodles are so sticky, they're so pleasant, they're so bouncy, and they're so chewy in all of the best possible ways. And so I want to keep on showing all of the different amazing things that we can do with glass noodles, and this is a fairly traditional preparation of it. It's going to get served lukewarm to slightly cold. It doesn't get served hot per se. And then it's going to be with this lovely kimchi. So we have a lot of things that we need to do today. Let's go ahead and walk through some of our ingredients, my friends. Beginning with this big, hefty, lovely cabbage. Does this recipe use egg? So Yokomoto, welcome on in. It does not. Traditional japchae has what's called, I believe, a jiran, which is like an egg omelet. Although I might do a fried egg today. I've not fully decided on that quite yet. So Yokomoto, it might. Everybody, I have this big, beautiful Napa cabbage. Now, here's the magical part. I love Napa cabbage. I think it's really tender, and it's of course the classical kind of cabbage that you would see used in kimchi. If you do not have Napa cabbage, that is okay too. People make kimchis out of radishes. People make them out of green cabbages as well. Napa cabbage is the most traditional. You'll typically find it in any Asian grocery store, even some Western ones as well, depending where you're shopping. Okay, and we're going to be using roughly a quarter to a half of this lovely Napa cabbage today. The reason why Napa cabbage is excellent is because it is so tender. As opposed to other kinds of cabbage, they tend to be really tough and chewy. Napa cabbage is really tender. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and somehow set that down behind me. Next, my friends, now in the interest of using up some existing leftovers, guess what I had? That's right, I had a leftover head of plain old green cabbage as well. So I decided, you know what could be fun? Let's blend the green cabbage and the Napa cabbage today for my fresh kimchi. So, quarter head of cabbage. Next, my friends, we have some carrot and some onions. Carrot and onions will find their way into both of the dishes today. Carrot, some of it is going to be shredded up into the kimchi. It's going to provide a nice sweetness. And it's also going to go into my glass noodle bowl. And then we also have some onions because you can't really cook without onions. Then everybody, for some basic aromatics, we have garlic and we have ginger, and we also have scallions behind me. Garlic, ginger, and scallions all over different East Asian cuisines, especially all over Korean food. Okay, so garlic and ginger. Gonna go ahead and put that down behind me. Now, one of the most important ingredients for any kind of Korean cooking is going to be what is called gochugaru. Gochugaru is a Korean red pepper flake, okay? It's not super spicy per se, but it's a little bit sweeter, it's a little bit fruitier, and you see this absolutely everywhere. This is the main flavor component of a delicious kimchi. So, some gochugaru, then we also have some sesame seeds. Kaze6, welcome on in. I hope you're having an excellent day today. Next, my friends, the star of the show, specifically for my glass noodle bowl, is of course going to be my sweet potato noodles. These are some glass noodles. Now, depending on, oh my gosh, guys, I have so many fruit flies in my kitchen. I apologize if you see them on camera. They are driving me crazy. I apologize for having a dirty kitchen. It feels a little bit embarrassing having so many flies on camera. So I hope that you guys don't mind. So I'm sorry about that. Okay, I have some sweet potato noodles. Yes, my kitchen is tidy. Yes, we've been taking out the trash. We just have to take some extra measures. Okay. Guys, we have some sweet potato noodles. Okay. This is the kind of glass noodles that is traditionally used for Korean cooking, but there's other kinds of glass noodles, for example, mung bean noodles. These just have like a little bit of a purpley color to them, and they tend to be a little bit thicker than other kinds of glass noodles. Okay, but honestly, you could just substitute this for like mung bean starch noodles, any kind that you can find. But again, this is the traditional for Korean food, my friends, the sweet potato glass noodles. I'll set that down behind me. Ooh, guys, we have so many different ingredients to get through. We have some sesame oil. We also have some fish sauce. This is not the traditional Korean kind of fish sauce. This is used in mostly like Southeast Asian cuisines, but it's a really good fish sauce. This is a Three Crabs branded fish sauce. So we got some fish sauce in there for the pungency, and we also have some sesame oil for some nuttiness as well. Okay, everybody, couple more things. Shiitake mushrooms, just a few of them, mostly to flavor the pork itself. Then I have some pork shoulder. This pork shoulder, we're going to be slicing it super thinly into these thin little shreds that are going to cook up really quickly. Are the clear ones usually mung bean noodles? That's right, Serena, you got it. Shiitake mushrooms that have been soaked, these were previously dried, and then also some pork shoulder, my friends. Okay, and then we're gonna put that into the freezer so we can slice it. Last but not least, some spinach. We're going to be just cooking the spinach down, seasoning it with some sesame oil, seasoning it up with some soy sauce, and then it's gonna be perfect to go ahead and mix into the glass noodle bowl. Japchae traditionally, well, not traditionally, but it translates to, I believe, mixed vegetables. We don't have that many vegetables going into it today. We'll have some carrot, we'll have some spinach, and then we'll also have like the meat itself. And so I didn't really feel too inclined to call this a japchae today. Okay. So, if you are new to Korean cooking, I think this would be a wonderful place to start. There's a lot of different ingredients that you need to buy, but it's going to be sweet, it's going to be salty, it's going to be meaty, it's going to be flavorful, and it's going to be excellent. So, everybody, before we begin today, a couple of bits of housekeeping. First and foremost, if you have any and all cooking questions, feel free to ask me, and you can type an exclamation mark menu in the chat to get a full list of all of the different ingredients. Then, if you would like to help to financially support the cooking show, my goal is to be able to do this full-time one day. You can go to my Patreon. The Patreon's a website where you can directly financially contribute. You can also subscribe there for free, but the Patreon is a very nice way of directly subscribing and supporting the show. So for those of you that haven't already done so, I would implore you if you are able. So exclamation mark Patreon. Next. Also, we have finally updated my wish list on Throne. Exclamation mark wish list in the chat. I'm sorry to keep on shilling, but there's a few different bits of cooking equipment that I do need. And so the Patreon is going to be the best way to go ahead and, or excuse me, the wish list, exclamation mark wish list, throne.me/Daramgar. That will be the best way to go ahead and also support the show as well. If you want to go ahead and buy me nice things. Specifically, we need some gloves, and then a couple of other things I think I put down. Okay, everybody, we're going to begin with the process of salting and breaking down this kimchi. A lot of people are under the impression that kimchi always needs to be fermented, and that is not necessarily the case. In Korean food, my friends, there's so many different kinds of kimchis. There's kimchis made from fruits, kimchis made from radishes, kimchis made from different kinds of cabbage. This is a fresh style kimchi, which I think is the best thing to do in a home setting. There is no fermentation, and this is the kind of a thing that you can go ahead and keep in the fridge. Every single Korean table will always feature some kind of kimchi. Everybody, how many times, and I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, have you bought a jar of store-bought kimchi, and it tastes great, and it tastes excellent, but you paid $7. You paid $7, $8 for a jar of kimchi this big, for what is effectively cabbage and chilies. Also, Rosie, thank you so much for the Prime sub. $7. It's evil. It's ridiculous. You don't have to apologize to me, Jokey Steam. I'm here to go ahead and show you a different way. This is a fresh style kimchi. One day we'll do a fermented kimchi properly, but today is not that day. So, my friends, also Persephone, welcome on in. Let's go ahead and get started. I have my cutting board. That's not my cutting board at all. I have my cutting board all set, and I dropped my keyboard. I threw my keyboard off of the table. Luckily, it's a cheap keyboard, and it somehow did not break. Okay. So, my friends, come take a look. This is a lovely head of Napa cabbage, and it is absolutely gargantuan. This is not going to be the amount of cabbage that we need for today. I'm going to do a mixture of Napa cabbage as well as some green cabbage. Okay, everybody, I want you to keep in mind something right now. This cabbage is not clean. Okay, and so there's a couple of nice ways that we can go ahead and get it cleaned up and all ready to go for today. We're going to do a process of keeping it in some salted water, and that is really, really essential for any kind of kimchi, no matter what you're doing. By salting it and submerging it in water, of course, we're going to be able to get any little bugs, any little bits of dirt that shouldn't be there. Okay, we're going to be able to have those float to the top and be able to rinse out and exchange the water. Second of all, salting the kimchi, salting the cabbage specifically, my friends, it helps to break it down. Cabbage takes up a lot of volume. It has a lot of water weight. It is incredibly porous in some ways. Okay, and so when you salt it or when you cook it, you'll notice how much it shrinks down. We need to process this cabbage with some salt. This is unwashed, and in the process of processing it, it'll also be part of the cleaning process, my friends. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Here's all that we're going to go ahead and do, and this is a very traditional way of processing, Napa cabbage for something like a kimchi. We're going to begin. We don't cut all the way on top of the head. Similar concept to broccoli. If you start shaving off the florets, it's going to make a mess all over the place. We're going to start by just making an incision halfway in to the cabbage, just like so. Maybe a little bit further in. And then, my friends, you can basically just rip this bad boy open. Okay? And now we're left with two lovely halves of Napa cabbage. Okay? I can go ahead and set one of them down behind me. We'll probably wrap it up and throw it into the fridge for safekeeping later on. It's surprising that this cabbage doesn't actually have a super strong core. Usually they tend to have a little bit more of a core than that. Okay, the next step, we're going to flip it down, and we're going to go ahead and do the same exact thing to it. Now, we have to evaluate exactly how much cabbage we want to use. I think I'm only going to go with a quarter head of cabbage, and then we'll figure out what to do it afterwards. Okay, so take it, split it down, my friends, and now you have all of those lovely little leaves. And once again, I'm just putting down this cabbage behind me. And this is just a nice way of keeping it processed and processing it all together. Now, at this stage, we could probably just go ahead and cut off this most super, super thick bottom part. We can discard that. Okay, and I'm looking at this amount of cabbage, honestly, guys. It's not all that much cabbage, but that's okay. All that I'm going to go ahead and do is just cut this up into some nice little sections, and then we'll rip it apart once more and toss it all into my bowl. I have a nice large bowl prepared and all ready to go for today, my friends. So just take it now, and you're able to go ahead and successfully rip it apart. And we're gonna keep these leaves nice and whole. We're gonna keep some nice big leaves. I'm looking at this amount of cabbage, and I'm going, you know what, my friends? I think I'm going to do with half a head of Napa cabbage today, and not just a quarter head of Napa cabbage. Do we need to give the ribs? Which ribs are you talking about, Serena? I'm not sure what ribs you're referring to. Which one's special treatment? I don't know what you're talking about. So, once again, just going to go in here, just going to go ahead and cut out the thickest part, the chewiest part of the cabbage itself. Okay? The cabbage leaf ribs. I have no idea what you're talking about, Serena. I'm sorry. Once again, my friends, we're just making some incisions all the way through. And now, guess what? We're just able to easily split up all of this cabbage, just tear it up, and throw it into our bowl. Okay, and now there's gonna have to be a little bit of sand, there's gonna be a little bit of dirt. Everybody, do not worry about it. I promise you, we're going to successfully remove all of it, okay? So, this is my Napa cabbage. This is half a head of Napa cabbage. Remember, it's going to significantly shrink down, so it's not going to make nearly as much as this. Next, let's go ahead and process my leftover old green cabbage, okay? This cabbage tends to be a lot tougher than Napa cabbage. Okay, tends to be a lot chewier. So we need to make sure that we're breaking it down into slightly smaller pieces, my friends. So we have this big, thick core running all the way down the cabbage. We don't want it. We want nothing to do with it. I'm just going to go ahead and take my knife and just cut it off and cut it off and get it out of here and toss it aside, my friends. Okay? Big, thick cabbage. We want to go ahead and make sure that we're just going to cut it up into pieces slightly smaller than my Napa cabbage. Okay? And they have different flavors, and it's a fun thing to do to mix different kinds of cabbage, my friends. I think it's a fun thing to do. That is the creativity and the magic of cooking. Okay? All the things that I'm showing you, there is no exact recipe. Okay? There is no pressure to recreate this exactly. Everybody, if you live in a part of the country where you don't have access to Napa cabbage, you don't have to use Napa cabbage. You can make it out of some radishes. You can make it out of baby radishes or something. You can make it out of green cabbage. That is the fun part about cooking. I am just here to show you the universal techniques. I'm here to show you the general concepts and the general ideas. But I don't want you to go out of your way to make this quote-unquote authentic. Yes, Napa cabbage will be the most tender kind of cabbage, but that does not mean that other kinds won't be able to be delicious in their own ways. There's no such thing as better or worse produce. Okay, they're all different in their own little ways. So, once again, taking it and slicing it down, right, something like that, I think will be perfect for today. Let's go ahead and get my green cabbage into the bowl. And now, everybody, we're going to create a nice little salty brine. Okay, we're going to combine some salt. We're going to go ahead and combine some nice cold water. Also, Tarina, are you tagging people that are just like tuning in the viewing section? Did 1800 Hot Beef say hi in the chat? Yes, okay, never mind, Tarina, you're good. My bad, I apologize for that for a second. Okay, everybody, so we have all this lovely cabbage. We have all this lovely Napa cabbage and this green cabbage. Only thing I really want to make sure of right now is that I'm especially breaking up the green cabbage. Again, it's a little bit tougher, it's a little bit chewier, and we want to make sure that it evenly breaks down, okay? So, there you go. Let's go ahead and get, I'm gonna say roughly half a cup, something like that, half a cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup of nice cold water in there, my friends. We're gonna go ahead and get some water. We're gonna pour that bad boy inside. So yeah, Tarina, I apologize for singling you out there for a second. And now, we need to generously and aggressively salt this bad boy. Remember, this cabbage is all gonna wilt down. We wanna go ahead and significantly reduce a lot of that volume. So, how do we achieve that? With a few big pinches of salt. Now, in the past, I think that I used to over-salt it. Over-salting it causes it to over-wilt. I don't want it to completely lose its texture. I don't want it to completely lose its crunch, my friends. Okay, so the only thing I'm going to go ahead and do now, and I should have done this in a slightly larger bowl, in retrospect, but that's okay. So only 3 pinches of salt. I think that's going to be plenty for my uses and my purposes today. I want to be a little bit more delicate. In the past, I think I was way too aggressive with the amount of salt, with the amount of seasoning that I used for this step. But guess what? We live and learn. We live and learn, and the magic is we get to adjust and we get to adapt as people. That's the funnest thing about being alive, is that if you suck at something, you can get better at it. If you're a bad person, you can always become a better person. Okay, so we got the water. Yeah, people say you can't over-salt it at this stage, and that was something that I used to say to Lena Chess. I think that was rhetoric I used to sort of spit out, and the reality is it's a little bit more wasteful of salt. And no, Sir Specs, it is not currently washed. This is all unwashed cabbage because I'm going to show you how to properly wash it and how to properly cleanse it in a little bit. The reason why we need to do this step first is because the salt does help to clean it a little bit, and this helps it to break down. And after it breaks down, it will be much, much, much easier to properly clean off. Okay, so the salt is now dissolved into the water. I'm just making sure that all of my cabbage is nicely and properly covered with all of that salty brine, my friends, okay? Just get it all broken up, mix it around. We don't want to destroy the leaves. We want to keep some of the texture of the leaves, of course. We don't just want a bunch of little tiny pieces of cabbage. So just take extra caution, break it up, and fold it over on itself, and fold it over on itself. And let's go ahead and give it one last fold over, my friends. Take it and fold it over. Again, salt, water, green cabbage, and Napa cabbage. All of them coming together and make love. Well, anyways. Hi, Veha. Welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Okay, there we go. Everybody, only thing that we got to go ahead and do now is we want to go ahead and let this sit. Soli, welcome on in. It is lovely to have you. Hope you're having an excellent day today. Let it sit. Let it sit with the salt. We're going to let it sit for roughly, I'm going to say 30 minutes or so. 30 minutes is going to be the perfect amount of time for the cabbage to wilt down a little bit. It's going to release some of its excess liquid, and then I'll show you how to properly wash it afterwards. Okay? I feel like so many people and so many different recipes and so many of the awful recipes that are written online, they never talk about how to properly clean your vegetables, especially for something like a kimchi like this. And it's so important because every single vegetable is a little bit different. Some of them are porous, some of them are a little bit softer, some of them have dirt trapped in between the leaves. And I think the current state of food education does a very poor job of explaining how to understand how to clean these things. There's sand and bugs in between the layers sometimes, so we salt it to mostly wilt it down to reduce the volume, and then we soak it in water enough times that we eliminate everything in there that we don't want there to be. Okay, so cabbage is going, my friends. I'm gonna go ahead and set that down behind me. Now, what we want to do is to begin our seasoning paste for the fresh kimchi. Okay, and that's going to be a mixture of onions, it's going to be a mixture of garlic, it's going to be some gochugaru, okay, and then we're going to be adding in some scallions and whatnot. All right, nice shirt, thank you, I appreciate it. So let's go ahead and begin and get that started. We have a lot of different ingredients that we are going to need to process in the food processor today. You don't need a food processor. Also, Soli, thank you so much for the sub, I appreciate it. You don't need a food processor. A food processor is not life or death. Also, Scout1101, thank you so much for the prime sub, I really appreciate it. Oh my gosh, we got a hype train already. Thank you very much. What you could do if you really wanted to, you could use like a grater or something and then like grate down this cabbage or grate down the onion. But the goal, again, my friends, is to obtain a paste. Hello, this is Vi, by the way. Okay, welcome on in. It's lovely to have you, V. Hope you're having an excellent day today. So we want a paste, we want a seasoning paste. We don't really want chunks of onion today. Okay, so some of the onion is going to be used towards my glass noodle bowl. And then some of it is going to be used towards the kimchi. We're going to take it and we're only going to need, I don't know, a quarter of an onion or so for the kimchi. Take it, and it doesn't really matter how you cut it up again because it's all going to go ahead and get broken down and processed. So let's just make sure that we're peeling off the topmost layers of the skin. And honestly, I'm looking at that onion, my friends. I'm looking at it and I'm going, yeah, this onion is a little bit too small. So we're gonna do half an onion today. Again, if you have too much onion, you'll be fine. You'll find a way to live, I'm sure. Let's cut off the butts of the onion. And the only thing that we have to do now, my friends, is just chunk it up in a way that the food processor can better handle it. Okay, that's it. That's it. Nice and simple, nice and easy. And let's go ahead and get a separate bowl or plate to put all that stuff in. Okay. Onion goes in. I can put down the rest of this onion half behind me. We're not going to come back to this for a while. Next, let's go ahead and get a few cloves of garlic. Again, how much garlic do you use? I don't know, and I don't care, quite frankly. But we just want garlic for the flavor, for the pungency. The thing that you do need to keep in mind, everybody, especially if you're, a little bit newer to cooking, the finer that you process garlic, the more that you crush it, the more pungent it becomes. Because the more that you crush it and the more that you crush the cells, you produce a little something called allicin. And that is responsible for the pungency of the garlic. So, whereas you might sometimes cook with 20, 30 little cloves of garlic or so that you sliced up and everything, in this case, because this is raw, because this is uncooked, and all of the garlic is effectively going to be blended down, we want to make sure that we're not using too much garlic in this case. Okay, we can definitely overdo it with garlic in a raw application. So, 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm just giving them a good smash, just so that we can easily peel off the skin. Is the processing to pungency relationship true even when fermenting? So Tarina, it depends. And the reason why I say it depends if it's an acidic environment, it depends if it's in water, and it depends if it's in oil. What is this tool? This is called a bench scraper. And everybody, and I want to hear a nice yes chef, Everybody should be using a bench scraper, please, and thank you. So, in regards to the pungency of garlic, I do believe that storing garlic in water, or rather anything in a wet environment will keep its pungency, whereas maybe infusing it into olive oil might kill a lot of its pungency, if I remember correctly. But that's why, like, you'll sometimes see, like, jarred garlic, it's stored in water and yet it's still really, really pungent. So, in this case, in a very wet environment, yeah, this garlic is going to maintain its pungency. Whether or not it maintains it during fermentation, I actually wouldn't be able to tell you. I don't really know. Garlic and olive oil is very dangerous? Yeah. So many people, they accidentally get a little botulism risk. Oh my gosh, is that Elf? Hello, it's been so long. Everybody, I'm cutting off my butts. Off they go. And now guess what? We have 3 beautiful cloves of garlic that are devoid of all skin. Okay? So, get that out of here. Next, let's go ahead and get a nice little chunk of some ginger. And for the ginger, we also don't really want to overdo it. Okay? We're going to go ahead and peel it up really quickly because we don't want any of that dirty peel inside of our final product. How much are we doing? I don't know. I'm not measuring. Just don't go too much and it'll be fine, everybody. You know, here's the thing about cooking. People think that it's all exact ratios. I'm not using 1 cabbage 6 packs. I'm using half a nap of cabbage and then also some green cabbage. Okay? People think that cooking is about these exact ratios and this perfect balance. But guys, let me tell you something right now that is going to go a very long way for you. When we have a lot of components in something, we as humans, typically speaking, we don't do a very good job at distinguishing the exact ratios of all of those different components and all of those different elements. The fewer ingredients that you have in something, the more your ratios actually matter. However, in this case, because this is a kimchi that has a lot of other pungent, powerful flavors, things like fish sauce, things like onion, things like garlic, so on and so forth, the exact amount of ingredients that you have doesn't really matter. Okay, so you just want to go for like a general vibe and a general feel, and some things are more important than others. For example, salt. For example, sugar. Okay, that kind of stuff always going to be really important. Always going to be really, really essential. Things like the ginger, things like the onion. You will taste it, and then if you add more, you might not necessarily taste it too much. We're human. We're not perfect. We don't have as perfect of a palate as you may think. So, the general rule of thumb, my friends, is you need to understand how powerful a component is in a certain dish, how careful you need to be with that component, and memorize this basic rule, which is the less ingredients you have, the more exact your ratios need to be. The more ingredients you have, doesn't really matter as much, okay? So, that is why a lot of these recipes that say things like, oh, half a teaspoon of ginger, it doesn't fucking matter. It just does not, okay? So, chunk of ginger, maybe a little bit more, I don't know. It'll be fine. It'll be delicious at the end of the day, okay? Ginger can be a little bit too powerful, but hey, guess what? As long as we're not adding in that entire chunk of ginger, we'll be totally all right? So, ginger, onions, garlic, excellent. Beautiful. All set, all ready to go through the food processor later on. I'm gonna go ahead and put this behind me because we're still gonna use this for the pork meat. Also, everybody, speaking of the pork, I have a couple of chunks of pork meat that I wrapped in plastic wrap. I'm going to put this into the freezer so that it gets really, really nice and firm so that we can thinly slice it. You wanna do this an hour ahead of time. I don't think I'm doing this ahead of time as much as I should have, actually. But this way the meat is going to get nice and firm and we'll be able to really, really properly thinly shave it, okay? So pork meat in the freezer. Next, let's get some scallions in the mix. The scallions are not going to get ground up. They're just going to be in these little sticks that go into the final seasoning paste. Okay, so quickly wiping off my hands, gave them a little wash. And everybody, once again, you can't really have Korean food, you can't really have Korean food without scallions. You would change some of the recipe you have there, but in the end it's preference. You don't believe in exact measurements, that's for beginners. That's right. So again, everybody, a recipe is only as good or bad as the intentions of what it's trying to do. In my case, I wanted napa cabbage, I wanted some sweetness, I wanted a fresh kimchi, okay? I don't have fermented shrimp or anything. And so that's why I'm adapting it to my home in this case, in this way. Okay, so scallions. Let's get a few sticks of scallions. I don't have the whites, I just have some greens, so I think this amount is going to do and it'll be just fine for today. For the greens, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly cut them in half lengthwise so that they're not too long or anything. Again, we already have a lot of alliuminess going on from the garlic and the onion. And the only thing I'm going to do, my friends, I'm going to take each of these scallions and kind of like cut them into quarters or so. Something like this, okay? Or, alternatively, you gotta go fry up my crab cakes for dinner? All right, Soli, well, hope you enjoy. I hope they come out delicious. Okay, so just take them, and we're just going to roughly cut them up into these nice little sticks, into these nice little juliennes, my friends, to go ahead and get mixed into the final kimchi for today. And you can't have Korean food without scallions. Everybody, scallions are absolutely everywhere when it comes to Korean food. They're all over the place. In garnishes, mixed in, cooked in stews. This is one of the most essential components. Okay, nice little sticks. Let's go ahead and take the scallion white, take that bad boy, and once again, just cut them up into these nice long pieces. There you go, there you go. Perfect, beautiful. Take all of these bad boys, and once again, set them aside, put them away, out of sight and out of mind. These are not going to be part of the vegetables that get ground up, so just make sure that you're keeping them all nice and separate. So Yoon, I'm happy that I can provide. I'm happy that I can help teach you some good knife skills. Scallions, I'm going to go ahead and put them away. Next, everybody, we have some carrot. So the carrot, I'm actually going to be shredding in my food processor so that we get these nice, lovely little like long strands of carrot. That's what I'm looking for specifically for my glass noodle bowl, as well as for the kimchi. Okay, but we're going to begin by, of course, cutting off the tops and the bottoms. Get those dried off bits out of here, my friends. Let's grab our waste bowl, handy and all ready to go. And we're going to peel this carrot, and we're going to peel it, and 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 peel it, all the way through, everybody. Get it nice and peeled. Get all that dry skin out of here. We have no patience for him. We have no desire to have him with us. Okay. Get them gone. Okay, so in regard to this carrot, again, you could theoretically use a box grater and grate this by hand. We, or at least me in this case, I have technology. Okay, I have a food processor, and I have a lovely grating attachment, which is going to give me the final texture of carrot that I am so desperately looking for. Okay, so we got a carrot, and now let's go ahead and begin getting my food processor all set and all ready to go, because I don't think for the kimchi, actually, that we have anything else that we need to cut. Okay, so if everybody is watching, I want to hear a nice yes, chef, please and thank you. I'm going to go ahead and set it up. Once again, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask me. Just get some stuff out of here, get it gone. So this is not the most traditional kimchi either. Traditionally, you would make like a little paste out of some like preserved anchovies, and then also out of some rice flour. I don't have rice flour. It's not really going to have the perfect viscosity to it. It's not going to have the best texture. But for the fresh kimchi, I think it'll still be delicious. So I couldn't find any, and so we're not going to use any. And it will still be delicious, and it'll still be, you know, pretty accurate to its concept. Pretty accurate to you know, what it needs to be for us today, you know. So my cabbage is washing up. I'm going to go ahead and set up my food processor, my friends, and we're going to get these nice little shreds of carrot for today. And it'll be perfect. Just pat my hands nice and dry. But yeah, everybody, if you have a food processor, again, you know, probably one of my favorite kitchen tools in recent time. It's really helped me to do a lot of seasoning pastes. Chef, what's your favorite sandwich? Mine is a chopped cheese. So School of Rock and Roll. I feel like that's a very difficult question to answer, because sandwiches, there's so many different kinds of amazing and beautiful and delicious sandwiches in the world. It really depends on what I'm feeling. Honestly, a lot of the time, you know what I crave? I crave a dipped roast beef sandwich. That is one that I absolutely adore to hell and back. Otherwise, I love a nice buffalo chicken sandwich. I adore buffalo chicken sandwiches. Okay, let's plug in my food processor. I realize I'm holding it like a leash in a way. Oh no, camera on the bottom of my screen again? All right, thank you for the reminder. We'll go ahead and fix that. One day we'll stop doing that. Okay. A banh mi is a perfect sandwich. I love banh mi's, but I'm not gonna lie, the bread for most banh mi places, not great. It always feels like a little bit stale, and I don't like it when it feels like I'm eating a hot dog and all of the ingredients are like falling out of the side. I like it when sandwiches actually like are compact. So my only criticism of banh mi is how easily they fall apart. Right? And yeah, they do cut your mouth a little bit. As far as the flavors go, I mean, honestly, pretty ideal. I wonder how a banh mi in Vietnam would be. Oh, I would love to go to Vietnam someday. Okay, I am so sick and tired of this outlet, everybody. It is a challenge to get anything plugged into it sometimes. There you go. I really don't want to damage my plug, but that's okay. So, food processor set. It's functional. Excellent. Everybody, we're going to go ahead and process up my lovely carrot for today. Although I don't need this attachment, so I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, and get rid of that so they just don't accidentally get dirty today. Oh no, well, do I need it? It looks like I do need it to actually properly push the food down. Oh, that is so annoying. All right, fine, I suppose I will need to indeed get it dirty. Okay, everybody, food processor on. It's going. Let's go ahead and get my carrot nicely and properly shredded up. Okay, come on, buddy. Please don't fall over on me. Thank you. I want you to stand up nice and straight. Well, maybe that's the straightest we can do for this. Okay, how do we do? Overall, I would say quite good. I think we got my carrot as shredded as it needed to be. Perfect. We got a little scrap of carrot that sometimes gets left over. That's totally okay. Happens to the best of us. Okay, and now we could probably just take the whole thing right off, and I'll go ahead and show off all of my lovely shredded carrot. The tools in the back match the tiles? Yeah, I suppose so. I suppose they do a little bit. Okay, come take a look. Let's go ahead and quickly remove the top. And now, my friends, guess what? We have obtained some excellent little shredded carrot. This is going to be perfect for quickly just cooking down for my glass noodle bowl. Okay? And so, I will probably need to put this into another separate bowl. I'm a little bit annoyed at how many dishes I need for this today. But guys, sometimes that's how life goes. Sometimes we need a lot of bowls. Okay? That's just how it is. Okay, excellent. Let's go ahead and get this bad boy. I gotta stop saying bad boy when I cook. I can't have everybody be a bad boy. It loses all of its impact. Get it in there. Come on, out you go. Thank you. And then we'll wash it up in a little bit. Everybody, please say thank you to Mr. Shredder Attachment. That's his formal name. Maybe Mr. Shred. I think that would be a much more apt and a much more fitting name for something like this. Okay, shredded carrots done. All ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and put these two away because these we will not need at the moment. And now we'll just simply get our next food processor bowl ready for the actual paste itself. Okay. Sadly, I'm allergic to raw carrots and potatoes. Always need to wear gloves. That is sad. That is really, really tragic. I'm really sorry to hear that. Oh no. Those are some of the worst things that you could be possibly allergic to. Actually, no, wait a second. I think I still do need this bowl. So raw carrots, they do make my mouth itchy. So I don't know if that's exactly what you're experiencing here. Not to, tell you that you're experiencing the same thing as me here. I am pretty sure that I could actually just probably pop this in like this. Something like that. I forgot exactly how this works. Something like that. Throw that in. No. Not quite. I forgot how to assemble the top part of my food processor. So please forgive me, everybody. everybody now? Okay, I think that should be able to work. Okay, excellent, wonderful. Let's go ahead and make my seasoning paste. Back to this we go. Once again, my garlic, my onions, my ginger, all of these bad boys. Once again, I'm overusing the term bad boys already. It has to stop. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of saying it. That's enough of that. Grab it, take it. And get yourselves a nice paste. Okay, you don't want it to be, chunky, particularly. The goal of this is mostly just to be able to season up the kimchi. And then if ever we get stuck, we're just going to go back in with a little wooden spoon, scrape some of the stuff around and around the sides. And then we will be able to develop our seasoning paste for today. Pop it back in. Excellent. How's it coming along? It's almost done, everybody. We just want to make sure, once again, everything is in as small of a piece as it can be. Okay. And get it back going. I think that is going to be perfect. Everybody, my seasoning paste for the kimchi is officially completed. My scallions are done. My, my cabbage has been, just sitting there with some of the salt, right? Let's go ahead and quickly remove this container. Ooh, I think I did a good job of keeping that bowl clean today, so I'm not gonna have to wash that. Sometimes food processors can get a little bit finicky. I'm going to go ahead and put it out of sight, out of mind, just in the interest, everybody, of cleaning up as we go. Make sure that we're constantly creating space for all of our different equipment, for all of our different appliances. Okay, so what have we accomplished so far? We've shredded the carrot. We have made the seasoning paste. We're going to add the gochugaru. We're going to add the fish sauce. We're going to add a whole bunch of stuff. And we have salted the kimchi. And it has been sitting in all of that salty water, my friends, getting nice and soft, getting nice and tender, so that we can go ahead and wilt it down and then drain off all of the liquid that comes out of it. So at this juncture, at this point, all that I'm going to quickly do, let's just get my seasoning paste away from here. Get that blade out of here as well. And let's put it into my little bowl. And let's measure out some of our other ingredients. My onions, my garlic, my ginger. Okay. Excellent. We're going to do maybe like half of the shredded carrot, maybe a little bit less. The rest of it will be for the glass noodles. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and do all of my scallions, shredded up, ready to go for today. Probably could have done this in a slightly bigger bowl, but that's okay too. Scallions go in. These two, we're done with this bowl for now. Put them away. Next, everybody, we're going to do 3 tablespoons roughly of gochugaru. But again, remember, you can adjust these ratios as much as you would like. Do you have to use gochugaru if you can't find any? Well, the magic of cooking is so many different ingredients are interchangeable. It would seem silly to want to interchange or to change up something like gochugaru, but the reality is there's a lot of different red pepper flakes out there. For example, something like Aleppo pepper, I'm sure would make for an excellent substitution in this case if you can't find the gochugaru, right? So we're going to do 1, we're going to do 2, and we're going to do 3 tablespoons of gochugaru. And we'll start with that much for now, and we can always go back in and add some more. Okay, then we're going to start off with about a tablespoon of fish sauce. Okay, some kimchis are vegan, some of them are not. If you're going to be doing a kimchi that's vegan, I would recommend doing something like a seaweed extract rather, to be able to match some of the taste. But we just start with 1 tablespoon because everybody, we don't want to accidentally risk putting in too much fish sauce. This is one of those ingredients that you want to be very, very sparing with, everybody. This is one of those ingredients that you can absolutely add too much of. Okay, a little bit of fish sauce, perfect, delicious, pungent, meaty, and flavorful. Too much of it, and then all of a sudden, it becomes quite unpleasant. Okay, so I just have a quick little notification to catch up on. 1 second, everybody. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of sugar. In my case, we could also do some honey if we would like. And so I'm trying to figure that out right now. Do I want to do sugar? Do I want to do honey? Let's use some honey. Let's use it. We have honey. It's going to be a little bit of extra flavor. It's going to be delicious. Let's go ahead and go in with the honey. How much honey? I don't know. We can always go back in and adjust. We just definitely don't want this to become too sweet. So we're going to start off with roughly, I don't know, a spoon of honey or something. Something like that. Get that bad boy in there. Get it all inside, and then we'll mix it up. So a lot of discourse around authenticity and appropriation reflect an understandable anger at the postmodern era. However, the era is postmodern. That is where we cook and eat. So Yoon, I forgot what modern and postmodern actually always means. So I'm afraid that I'm not going to be able to participate much with what you have just said. Okay, so everybody take your paste. And again, I'm showing off what I think is pretty bad form here. I should have done this in a slightly larger bowl. I could probably grab, oh no, I'm all out of gloves. I can't even use gloves for this. Everybody do as I say, not as I do. You would want to first mix up the seasoning paste separate to the rest of the cabbage. Okay. And we may need to add also a little bit of additional salt. Although we're getting there. We're getting there, everybody. Look, it's coming together. My lovely seasoning paste. Nice and delicious. It's all coming together. Let's add in a little bit of salt. Where's my salt at? Where did I put you? Where's my little container of kosher salt? Hello? Oh, there it is on my table the whole time. A little bit more salt. Some of the salt penetrated the kimchi itself, but remember, a lot of it is going to go away in the cleaning process. So let's mix all of that in now while we're at it. Okay, get it in, get it in, get it all in. So we're looking for something sweet, we're looking for something spicy, we're looking for something pungent, and it will be delicious. There you go. That is going to be what gives our kimchi a lot of flavor. It might not seem like much, but this is the heart and the soul behind any delicious kimchi, everybody. This is it. Okay, seasoning paste, done, officially completed. Now, I believe that you and I together, we can go ahead and start talking about Mr. Cabbage once again. So, I'm going to take my wooden spoon, I'm going to take this bowl, I'm gonna put them behind me. Once again, everybody keeping our stations nice and clean all the time. So here we go. Here's our cabbage. As you all may notice, it has significantly shrunken down. It has significantly wilted down. The process of pre-salting cabbage is essential for any kind of cabbage salad, or honestly, I want to say most cooking applications as well. Okay, so it's in with all of its salty brine, and now the biggest thing that we need to do is to, of course, clean it. So I'm going to teach you how to clean it. You don't need a salad spinner for this, but this is one of my favorite kitchen tools that I will always continue to advocate for. I don't think I should always be showing you guys like the super maximalist kitchen tool heavy kind of cooking. I think that might be a little bit inaccessible, but for today, it's going to be quite important and quite useful. So here's what we're going to go ahead and do. Really simple, just going to quickly wipe off my cutting board in case there's anything that we don't want on there. We have this lovely salad spinner. I love a salad spinner. It is a strainer, it is a bowl-in-one, not to sound like an advertisement, but oh, I accidentally hit my light switch. I think everybody should, quite frankly, own a salad spinner. They're an excellent, excellent piece of kitchen equipment. We're going to go ahead and take our cabbage and we're going to just put it inside. We can keep all of the water roughly inside of the bowl. That's totally fine. Okay, and then the only things that we have to do, my friends, is we're going to submerge this in water, exchange the water a few times, and then we're going to go ahead and heavily, heavily cleanse this cabbage. Okay. I will forever think about the way that Mangchi, if you're familiar with her, the way that she says cabbage in English, because I love it and I adore it. Okay. So, cabbage, salad spinner. What do we have to do, everybody? That's right. Flood it with some nice cold water. This is going to be a bit of a repetitive boiling process. There's not going to be a lot of active work for us to do here. So anybody that has any cooking questions, now would be an amazing time to go ahead and ask. I'm just going to flood my cabbage with some nice cold water. We're going to go back in there. We're going to agitate it a few times, mix it around, and that will be the base of our delicious kimchi. And this is all for the sake of cleaning it, my friends. We want clean cabbage. We don't want any bugs. We don't want any dirt inside of it. Okay? Flooded it with some nice cold water. But everybody, just submerging it in water is not enough. Because look at the cabbage. Look at it. It is tight. It is packed into this little ball. Okay? And the issue is that it's not actually going to properly clean it if we don't agitate it and break it up and make sure that the water gets all the way around. Okay, we want to rinse off the excess salt. We want to make sure that we're rinsing out any and all sand and any and all bugs that may have found their way inside of the cabbage. Okay, so really, really, really break it up, everybody. Break it up, break it up, break it up. Just like so. Break it up. Really separate those layers. You don't need to destroy those layers, but you want to go in there and you want to agitate it. Just covering it with water is not going to be enough. Okay, it's dense. It traps a lot of water in between all of those layers, my friends. There you go. That is how we properly clean a cabbage. Okay. So, there you go. Quickly rinse off my hands from that. And then what are we going to do, everybody? We're going to go ahead and exchange it. What kinds of things can I use kimchi for? I got a jar and the taste is pretty strong, so I don't like to eat it by itself, but I like it when eating it with other things. I'm not sure what to make with it. Rosy is cozy. The #1 suggestion that I will always say is kimchi jjigae. You want to make kimchi jjigae. Kimchi jjigae is so easy. It is an excellent way to use up a bunch of excess kimchi, and it is one of my favorite dishes of all time. I love kimchi jjigae. It is ideal home food. That's what you want to do, Rosy is cozy. Okay, so everybody, we gave it one pass. We got a couple of little things out of it, but we're going to give this multiple passes, several times through, just to be really, really sure that our cabbage is nice and clean for today. Okay, so taking it, once again, filling it up with some nice cold water. Does cabbage actually smell bad, as people say? School of Rock and Roll. The answer is only if you overcook it. When you overcook cabbage, it does start to obtain a bit of an unpleasant smell to it. But honestly, I also think it's really, really cultural. And things like Brussels sprouts, things like cabbages, they have been bred so that they don't have as much of that like sulfuric smell that people associate them with. Ammonia? I forgot exactly what it is that contributes to that smell. So, flooding it, filling it up with some nice cold water, and we're just cleaning up the cabbage. Sulfuric acid, maybe. I don't know if it's sulfuric acid. Oh yeah, Tony, an excellent idea. Yeah. Kimchi on top of like a rice bowl, always an excellent suggestion. But I do genuinely think that a kimchi jjigae is always going to be the best bet of using up a bunch of excess kimchi, just because it's so easy, and especially if you struggle with a lot more of the intense flavors of it, right? I think it's really, really delicious in that context. Because by cooking it, you do lose some of the fermentation, or the fermented flavors rather, a lot of the funkiness of it. Okay, so beautiful cabbage, washing it, cleaning it up properly, everybody. Okay. And I'm going to say that we're just about where we need to be. Just again, lifting it up, rinsing it off, over and over. Just like so. I just really don't want to break it up. Okay. That's the most important consideration. I don't want to destroy it. So you have no idea, but I'm being very, very gentle with it. I don't want to get this all into tiny pieces. I want them all to still keep a good amount of their length. Okay? So. Ooh, what's this? What are you? You shouldn't be here. Goodbye. Had a little guy and they pop out. That's why we clean it. That's why we do this step, everybody. Okay? Guess what? I think it's time for us to dry it off. I think it's time for us to go ahead and do the final draining stage. This is why I love salad spinners. You gotta go ahead and just pick up your strainer. And now you will see just how effective it is in getting all of the excess liquid out of it. The power of a salad spinner, my friends. We don't want that liquid. We want it gone. We want it out of here. So take it, pop it down. You could theoretically do this with a couple of towels if you don't have a salad spinner. Press it down, although this might need several batches because it is taking up that much volume. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a quick little plate just to put it on in the meantime, a little bowl, just to put a handful of the cabbage at a time. Okay. And we're going to spin dry this. My salad spinner, it can only accommodate so much. So please be cautious, please be gentle with that. Take it and spin it dry, my friends. Spin it and spin it and spin it and spin it dry. My whole table is shaking. So I'm gonna try to hold my table down while I do this. Okay? Guess what? Look at the sheer amount of liquid. Look at all of that water that came out of the cabbage. Okay, I'm getting tired of saying cabbage. That is why we use a salad spinner, everybody. It does a really, really good, efficient job with tasks like these. Okay? Move it over, and we'll give it one more good spin, and then it's gonna be all set and all ready to go for today. Take it, flip it over, and what do? We spin it. No bugs in there. That's right, some specks. We washed it heavily. We did exactly what was demanded of us. Whoa, oh no, I didn't properly lock my salad spinner. I was cleaning it the other day and I didn't properly lock it in place. It didn't break, I just neglected to do it and I said it would be fine if I didn't do it. Oh no, uh-oh. Well, hopefully it'll be okay still. This is what happens when you're lazy about putting things back together, everybody. This is exactly what happens. Okay, I got it back together. I'm gonna be very gentle with it. I'm a little annoyed at myself more than anything here. But that's okay, that's fine. That is how life goes. That is reality. Quickly rinse off the bowl that the cabbage was originally salting in. A lot of bowls, a lot of steps, but once you do this, guys, it's gonna last in your fridge. And it'll be delicious, and it'll be incredible. Okay? That's one batch of my cabbage. A little bit repetitive, yep. But that's okay, that's how this stuff goes sometimes. Let's go ahead and do the rest of it. Put that away, put that behind us, put that into the past. And let's do my next handful of cabbage. Or we could just do all of it in at once. And it goes. Take it and salad spin it. Spin it dry, nice and gentle. You have to go too crazy. Oh my gosh, I did it again. Okay, please remind me to fix my salad spinner after this. This is called I was lazy. No, is it finally over? Is it finally in a place where I can't use it anymore? Guys, I am so annoyed at myself and I'm so annoyed at my own negligence. I did this to me. I did this to myself. Yep. Come on. One last try. Can it make it to the end? That is the question. Remind chef to fix salad spinner later. Thank you, Shiitake. I appreciate it. Oh. Guys, don't half-ass anything in life, especially when it comes to fixing salad spinners. Okay. I got lazy. I half-assed it. I know why I deserve this. I deserve this fate. It's dried off enough as it is. We got all the excess water out. Let's go ahead and get it back into the bowl. We'll do the final seasoning. We'll do the final mixing. We'll get it all in there. And then it's going to be a perfect bowl of fresh kimchi. Remember, not all kimchi is lacto-fermented. Some of it is fresh. Some of it is very tasty. It's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit sweeter. And that's totally okay too. No, so specs, it's a little bit more complicated than that, I'm afraid. I had to do like a deep clean for the first time in a while. It is unfortunately a little bit more complicated than you would think it is. Okay, so cabbage, green cabbage, Napa cabbage, excellent. Now goes in my seasoning paste. All of it in, everybody. All of it in. Every single last drop of it, you want it in. Okay, and what do? We mix it up. I'm going to grab perhaps some tongs. Also, Spaceballs, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome on in. You hear any black coffee? Well, welcome on in. Everybody, I got cabbage. I got my seasoning paste. Let's mix it up. Let's mix it up. Let's mix it up. And let's make sure that each and every single one of our lovely little leaves are properly coated with said cabbage. Now, honestly, I'm not gonna mess around with tongs. I have run out of gloves. I'm going to just accept the consequences and use my hands instead. Yeah, it's gonna be messy. Yeah, my hands are gonna smell a little bit fishy. But you know what, guys? So be it. Those are the consequences that I will accept for having a nice, beautiful kimchi later on today. Not ideal, but we'll make it do. We'll make it work somehow. Really, really make sure that all of that lovely seasoning paste coats and covers your kimchi. No, not quite so specs, but maybe at one point I would love to do a fermented kimchi and then come back to it on a separate stream. Well, welcome on in, everybody. Welcome to the best cooking show on Twitch. We're just finishing up the fresh kimchi before we proceed with doing the stuff for the noodles today, which are gonna be delicious. All right. Oh, there you go. There you go. There she is. She's all coming together, everybody. She's all coming together. No, come back here. Get over here. I'm gonna have to wipe off my countertops a little bit after this, but that's okay. Really break it up. Really make sure that everything is nice and properly covered. Ah. Chef, would you take them back after they cheated? Need your advice? Sunny Peach Crush? That's a very complicated question. And my answer for you is a pretty complicated one. It just depends on how much you want to make it work. If you really love somebody, you'll probably want to make it work through thick and thin in some ways. But also maybe just don't be too afraid to be single or something. I don't know. People have different relationships with cheating. People value it in different ways or think it's a bigger deal than others. It depends, and it's subjective, and that's actually maybe not a question I'm comfortable with answering publicly, I think. So I might have to walk back on answering that altogether. Okay. There you go. Massage it in. Get it in between all of those layers of cabbage. Really, really break it up and mix it around and fold it over on itself. Okay. And now, the magical part. Let's taste it. Let's taste it for seasoning. Let's taste it for spice. We can add more honey. We can add more salt. We can add more gochugaru. Depending on what we need, we might add more fish sauce or something. So let's start off with like a thinner leaf, something like this. So a skia, not necessarily. Kimchi can be fresh. Guys, that's perfect. That is perfect. I taste every component. It's sweet. It's salty. It's got enough heat from the gochugaru. Oh, it's not too fishy. I'm tasting the fish sauce. Oh, oh boy. Oh man. Oh my God. Not too much garlic. Guys, that is perfect. Oh wow, I love kimchi. I love kimchi so much, everybody. Okay. Wow. Guys, I love kimchi. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say what's on all of our minds. Yes, I admit it. I love kimchi. Oh boy, my hands are mildly stained from the chilies. They're going to smell a little bit like fish sauce, but that's fine because I have nobody that I need to impress in my life like that. Okay. I'm very happy with that. I'm very, very happy with that. That is quite perfect. So, what went into this? We're gonna put this in the fridge just to chill out. We got some honey, we got some gochugaru, we got some garlic, we have some onion, we have scallion, we have carrot, we have some ginger, we have some fish sauce. Okay? That is perfect, and that is delicious. This bad boy is going to go ahead and get thrown into the fridge for safekeeping for now. And then we'll be able to enjoy it and consume it. The kimchi is done, my friends. And now the only thing that we have to do is just kind of clean up our space a little bit because we used a lot of tools, we used a lot of equipment. There are some things that we no longer need. And so I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please, and thank you from everybody watching. I want to make sure that you clean as you go. Do not leave things to sit now. Put them away. Get them out of here. Get them out of sight. Get them out of mind. Clean up as you go, and you will be rewarded with a proper clean kitchen by the end of it all. Okay? So, clean it up. Clean it up. Get all the things gone that you no longer need, everybody. Okay? My salad spinner I can put away to the side successfully. My tongs I no longer need for this. All right? So just get rid of any and all equipment that you no longer need for today. Okay? Throw it into the dishwasher, throw it into the sink. Keep your station tidy. The last thing that you want to do is cook in a messy kitchen, especially when we did something that had so many different little components. All right? Put your towels back into the position. I find that I always lose towels when I cook at home. Right? Wipe down the countertop, especially if you may have spilled some kimchi on the table like I did. Okay? Ooh, that was delicious. Is there anything that you don't really like the taste of? Shop and Chris, I'm going to tell you right now, everything tastes good in the context of something. Everything can taste good in the context of something else. There's nothing that I can say I single-handedly do not really like the taste of. If I don't like the taste of it, I might be able to appreciate it in a different context. Not to be like too pretentious about it, but I don't really think there is an unusable ingredient in some ways. You know, they're all different, they all have something different to say, and they can all be appreciated in their own context. So, everybody, now that we're at the stage, I did not cut. I think this is a t-shirt I sold for my ex, Sunny Peach Crush, and I believe that she cut it down to size. Here's what needs to happen. We need to make the seasoned spinach for the glass noodles. We need to thinly slice the pork. We need to make the seasoning sauce for the pork. Okay, we need to cook the carrots as well, and then we need to go ahead and properly boil the glass noodles, as well as do some of our vegetable prep, everybody. So, we're going to begin that process now. We're going to figure out all the different little things that we need to do, and I think it's going to begin with doing my sauce for the pork shoulder. Okay, so everybody, there is a really, really huge misconception in cooking, and that is the romanticization of marinades. Oh, my camera died. Oh no. Everybody, 1 second, please. I'm going to need to go back in and fix this. My camera is frozen, tragically. Wonderful. So, the Django, welcome on in. Yes, we're live every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, 5 p.m. EDT. So here's what we need to go ahead and do. We need to go ahead and prepare the seasoning sauce. So many people, okay? So many people, they take their meat, okay? And this is something that is often said in Korean cooking as well. Oh, to marinate it. They take their meat, they cover it in sauces, they might throw it into the fridge for about 30 minutes or so, and they think it makes a difference. Then they take this wet meat and they put it onto a hot pan, and then people say to brown the meat. I'm going to tell you right now that that is complete and total nonsense. And let me explain to you why. First of all, marinades don't work nearly as well as some people think they do. Brines exist. Salting meat, for example, and doing so in advance, allows the salt to penetrate and allows it to keep it really, really nice and moist and juicy. Okay, salt is water soluble as well as sugar. Acid can sometimes break down the topmost surface piece of meat, but it doesn't really so much as tenderize it as some people think it does. Things like pineapple puree will indeed tenderize it. But marinating for flavor is not real. I'm going to say it again. Marinating for flavor, for meat specifically, is not actually real. So here's what people do. They take their thinly shredded meat or something, or their cut up meat, and they put it in marinade, and then they put it onto a hot pan. Guys, when you have thin pieces of meat, it's not going to brown. It's going to very quickly seize up on itself. Okay, maybe the sauce around it browns a little bit, but there is no marinade effect that was actually achieved. Okay, so I'm going to specifically slice my meat separately, cook it separately, and then I'm going to add in the sauce, because I want to be able to get a little bit of browning developed on the meat before it begins boiling. Marinades are severely overrated. Marinades are incredibly severely overrated, and people don't know why they work the way that they do. We're not making a marinade, we're simply making a seasoning sauce for the pork itself. Now that we got that clarification out of the way, let's go ahead and begin doing some of the components for the sauteed pork. Okay? These were previously dried and now soaked shiitake mushrooms. I love shiitake mushrooms. You would typically see either like a woody mushroom or like a type of like black fungus for a lot of Korean cooking. I had dried shiitakes. I figured I may as well use them. I want to go ahead and slice it up nice and thin. Nice and thin, just like so. Nice sharp knife, nice and thin, all the way. Okay, these were soaked just to mostly reconstitute them. Still not fully soaked all the way through, but that's okay. And this is going to become a part of the seasoning sauce. We're not going to brown these mushrooms. We're not going to fry them. Do I like cats? Rosie? I have a very controversial answer, and so I will abstain from answering. Okay, shiitake mushrooms. Grab my little condiment bowl, take it, scoop it up, throw it inside. Now, what will be the actual seasonings for the pork? Let's go ahead and do this now. We're going to go ahead and do some sesame oil inside. Good amount of sesame oil, in fact. Chef out here being anti-cat, pro-cheating, and agnostic about food proportions. That's right, Serena. I am here making enemies. So, sesame oil. Why do we add sesame oil? Because we want some of that delicious nuttiness. Next, dark soy sauce. Not exactly the kind of soy sauce that you would see be traditionally used in Korean cooking, by the way. You would see a wheat-based soy sauce, okay? So, a bunch of dark soy sauce goes in. Again, I'm not really measuring. I don't really care. Let's go ahead and go in with some sesame seeds. Actually, no, sesame seeds will be for garnish. We don't really need the sesame seeds in this. I'm going to take it back. We will, however, get a little bit more honey. Let's get a little bit more honey into the mix. Okay. How do I know so much about different foods? The Django, I've been cooking for a long time. And that's what I'm here to show you guys. I'm here to show you all the different things that you can do with all of these different ingredients. You could use sugar, you could use any kind of sweetener that you would like. In my case, I'm using honey, just because I already have some. And we want to create a nice, sweet, delicious sauce for the pork. Okay? So there you go. This is my seasoning sauce. Give it a little taste if you would like to. Oh, I'm forgetting a couple things. How could I? I'm forgetting my garlic, and I'm forgetting my ginger. Sweet, salty, delicious. It's going to make for something very tasty. Grab a couple of cloves of garlic. I want it to be nice and pungent. I'm gonna do like 2 cloves of garlic for this. Okay. Take it. What are we gonna do, everybody? Smash it down just to help peel the skin away. Take it. Whoop. Hello. Come on. Back up you go, buddy. Thank you. Take it. Smash it down. But yeah, so the Django, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask me. I'm here to help everybody understand a little bit more about food. Okay. I do remember the stream when the garlic flew off the cutting board. I do recall. So, get those garlic butts out of here. And now we'll be going to one of my favorite kitchen tools of all time, everybody. The handy dandy little garlic press. I love my garlic press to death. Well, maybe not this one. This is my roommate's one and it doesn't work all that great. I say that every time. We did get a new garlic press, but I accidentally got it delivered to my mom's address and not this one. Garlic goes in. Garlic goes in. And so, in the interest of just wanting to be totally sure that it can't process ginger, we're going to put ginger into the garlic press. And I want to see how good of a job it actually ends up doing. I want to see, just in case. I want to see, everybody. So, peeling up my ginger, peeling it up. Whoop, come on, buddy. Off you go. Thank you. Has Chef ever tried to shortcut garlic smashing through a meat tenderizer hammer? Yeah, you can do that. But it still doesn't actually fully mince it quite like a garlic press does, in my experience. Okay? So, hopefully, let's find out if this guy is going to be able to properly crush my ginger. Let's find out. It's been a while since I've done it. Last time it was completely and totally unsuccessful. But the reason why I'm inclined to try it again is just because I really, really do not want to chop and mince this ginger. How well did it work? The answer is it went kind of okay. The ginger is a little bit more fibrous. It's a little bit tougher than the garlic is. It wasn't really designed for this purpose. But honestly, I think it's going to do the job just fine, everybody. Get that garlic in there, get that ginger in there. And this is all just the seasoning sauce for the pork. Yeah, I think it more or less worked out okay. I'm going to say this was a success. Okay? It's in there. Let's mix it up. Ginger, garlic, mushrooms. Oh, come back, buddy. Sesame oil, soy sauce, and a little bit of honey. Delicious, and everything that you could possibly want. And more, in fact. Maybe a little too much sesame oil, but that's okay. Okay, everybody, I'm gonna take a second to clean up. I'm gonna take a second to put a few things away that we no longer need. I'm gonna dump out my waste bowl. Gonna put away my ginger. Going to go ahead and quickly wash up my garlic press. Vivi Rez, welcome on in. I hope you're having it. Well, not Vivi Rez. Vice Rez, welcome on in. Chef, is the New York subway as crazy as people say online? Sunny Peach Crush. It really depends. It really depends. You know, the reality is the following. It's going to be a little bit hectic. Is it unsafe is the question. And that depends on the time of day that you're riding a train and, you know, what train line you're actually on. Is it as crazy as people say online? No. But the really scary thing is the increased police presence in our trains lately. Yeah, ever since COVID, the increased amount of police, it's been kind of brutal as of late. So is it crazy? It's definitely a very unique experience, but I don't think it is as unsafe for some people as they would like to make it out to be. I think for some people, the police is more of a concern than anything else because they are, you know, recently there was like a really awful tragedy of like, you know, somebody who hopped and avoided spending $2.90 ended up getting shot and killed in the subway station. It was a really, really nasty thing that had happened just a few days ago, and there have been protests in New York about it, right? And people withholding paying for the subway now. And this is like getting especially bad again. So, you know, it's kind of brutal in New York at the moment. It's really, really sad and it's really, really tragic. So is it crazy? I've ridden the subway my whole life. As a woman, I've been sexually harassed a few times, but that's just the same amount that I get in normal day-to-day living. And I'm also white. So a lot of my problems with the police are not present, right? So it depends who you're asking, Sunny Peach Crush. It depends who you're asking. So I took that question a lot more seriously than I think you might have intended. But let's go ahead and continue talking about some food in the meantime. But I think that was still an important conversation to have. Okay, so garlic press in a dishwasher. Put a few things away, put a few things out of sight and out of mind, right? And that's, that's just a part of life of being a woman, school of rock and roll, and it's very sad that I have to say that, but, that is just kind of the case. That is what it's like to be a woman in this day and age, right? Well, I think it's always has been, right? So, enough of that. Get my salad spinner out of here, get them gone. Again, everybody just cleaning up, putting a few more things away, making sure that I'm staying organized, making sure that everything is exactly where it needs to be. I can put away my garlic probably at this stage as well. Have no use for that. There's a few more ingredients we don't need, like my Napa cabbage. I can go ahead and throw him into the fridge, bundled up in a little plastic wrap or something. Okay. So, what needs to get done? The pork is still in the freezer. We're still getting it really, really nice and firm so that we can go ahead and thinly slice it up. The last step of today is going to be to actually boil the sweet potato noodles. The things that need to happen now are the following. We need to be able to slice up my onions. We need to be able to slice up my scallions. Okay? And we need to go ahead and cook down the onions and the scallions, or the onions and the carrots rather, and we also need to cook down and soften up the spinach. We're not really going to be browning it, we're not really going to be caramelizing it, as much as we are just going to be cooking it down, right? It's gonna be simple, it's gonna be really easy. So let's go ahead and get started. Back to this we go. Onion, everybody, we have half an onion going in for today. And again, we're not really going to be frying this too heavily, or the carrots, that is. We just want to get it cooked down and cooked down soft, and then for it to be able to be mixed into the noodles. Okay. We're going to cut off the butt of the onion, and we're going to be slicing it parallel to the grain of the onion cells, okay? So lengthwise, just like this, not that way, that would be perpendicular. Lengthwise, medium to small, thick slices. Doesn't have to be too exact. And as always, we never chop, we always slice. Chat, remember to throw out the waste bin every other day before otherwise fruit flies or insects find a home. Yeah, so Specs, I'm currently in it right now. I currently got a few flies to deal with. It's really unfortunate. I hate flies. I hate them so much, and I am so sick of them, and I am so done with them. Okay, so we got onions. I'm just going to go ahead and take it and toss it into my bowl with the carrots. Super simple on the onions and carrots, guys. Again, we'll just be cooking them down until they get nicely and properly softened. Okay, next, let's go ahead and slice my scallions. Everybody, once again, you can't have Korean food without plenty of scallions. And so, all of them are going to go ahead and get properly mixed in, okay, into the final dish for today. Scallions. I want them raw, I want them as a garnish. I want to get some nice, big, aggressive blades. So how do we achieve them, everybody? First, we're going to take our stack of scallions. We're going to just give them a nice, aggressive turn, just like so. Although this stack might be a little bit too big to do all at once. Take it, stack it up, move it over to the side like this, and we're going to obtain these gorgeous shrapnels, these gorgeous slices of scallions, everybody. Just like so. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime? Hey chef, totally unrelated, but how would I use Sichuan peppercorns? Grind them and use them similarly to black pepper. So Noodle guy, amazing question, welcome on in. The answer is they're actually not peppercorns. They're technically not classified as peppercorns whatsoever, and you would not do that to them. How would you use them? It really is only used in just a few cuisines, but the way that it's typically used is it is sometimes toasted and then ground into what is 5-spice powder, or you would infuse it into some oil and then strain it out after it's been infused into the oil, and then remove them that way. So those would be the two ways that you would typically use them. But you would not use them like you would black pepper at all. But yeah, I'm sure that you could just like crack it and grind it and use it as a seasoning for cooking. But you really wouldn't use a raw Sichuan peppercorn for anything like that. Okay? Going in there, slicing it up, getting these nice little blades. You soak glass noodles in hot or cold water. So specs, today, there's not actually going to be any soaking at all. We're only going to plunge them into boiling water for about 6 to 8 minutes or so. And then we're going to shock them in cold water, right? So no worry about that today. And it really depends who you ask on why you soak the noodles themselves. For these sweet potato noodles, that is not a concern at all, okay? So, just making some space on my plate. I'm going to throw my Napa cabbage into the fridge as well while I'm at it and we have some time. Plenty of scallions. No soaking, BYU grads crying. Vise, I've made that joke plenty of times before. Ooh, we have been constantly moving. We have had so many little tasks to get done and get out of the way, everybody. I apologize for the fact that we've not been able to slow down even for a second. Is everybody keeping up? I want to hear a nice resounding yes, chef, please. And thank you. That would be great. Got my scallions out of here. Again, cleaning as I'm going, as always, in a home kitchen, everybody. Napa cabbage, I'm going to wrap it up in some plastic wrap. And then we'll have to figure out what to do with it on Sunday. If anybody has any excellent ideas, now would be the time. Come on, buddy. Away you go. Back to the fridge dimension for you. Keep it nice and fresh until then. For the japchae, I soak them in hot water. I don't know if that's a firm rule or not. I don't do glass noodles much. So some specs. Again, it really depends on who you ask. In this case, they'll just be boiled. They'll just be cooked. You know, the reason why people actually do end up soaking noodles, it helps to expedite the cooking process a little bit and it stops the outside of it from overcooking. But in general, glass noodles, they're so thin and they cook up so quickly. And you typically, for like rice noodles, you soak them because if you just plunge them into boiling water directly, they tend to sort of gel up and gum up around the edges and the inside stays raw. So soaking them in cold water helps to hydrate them and helps them to cook more evenly. In the case of glass noodles, not as essential at all, okay? So, scallions, behind me we go. Chef, if we have a bad relationship with glass noodles, which one would you use? Or is that mostly the mung bean kind? So Serena, I'm not sure what you're asking me exactly. I'm not totally, School of Rock and Roll, that's pretty funny. I'm not really sure what you're getting at, Serena. I'm not sure what specifically you are struggling with when it comes to glass noodles. Could we do this without glass noodles? Well, the techniques I'm showing you would just be basically for a warm to cold noodle bowl. You could, everything that we're doing here, everybody, we could do this as a rice bowl. Theoretically, right? You could do this with any other kind of noodle that you would like. Could we do this without glass noodles? Yeah, because, you know, I'm not really calling this a japchae, but this still is a glass noodle bowl at the end of the day. Okay? So, a lot happened, a lot going on. Let's talk about it. Kimchi, done, into the fridge. Pork, currently freezing. What is stopping me from continuing? I have things inside of my sink that would make it then difficult for me to go ahead and properly wash my cutting board. What I would like to do is to properly rinse off all the different things that I have in my sink, just so that my sink is at this stage nice and empty. Everybody, I apologize for needing to do dishes, but if everybody's still watching, if everybody's still tuning in, I would like to hear a nice yes, chef, please and thank you. So, I'm gonna go ahead and get that done. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And the nice thing is because this was all vegetables, we don't even really need soap, right? Soap is used mostly for what? For disinfecting and for getting fat off of things. Guys, if we just use this thing only for vegetables that don't have any fat in them whatsoever, well, you just wanna go ahead and rinse it off. So that's a little dishwashing piece of advice for you. Okay, it's not gonna mold unless there's like physical pieces of food directly left on it. Soap is for disinfecting and specifically to bind to fat. You don't always need to wash everything with soap and water, my friends. Okay. So as long as there is no like carrot juice, as long as there's like no sugars left on it, then there is no risk particularly for, you know, it developing anything on it that you don't really want to have. Cleaning is a part of the cooking process, that's right. And one day, I would love to be able to have a sink camera. One day in the future, we'll see. We're getting there, everybody. So just cleaning it up, getting my food processor done, getting it out of the way. And then we'll also need to go ahead and set up a nice big pot, fill it up with some water, and get that boiling for when we go ahead and do the, for the noodles. Just quickly washing off all of my equipment. Right. Ooh, my neck and back and shoulders are so tired. So, had to get my complaining out of the way really quickly. I'm done with that though. That's done. That's gone. That's out of here. Last piece of the food processor. Everybody, thank you for sticking with me through this. Thank you for being so patient with me as I get done with such a repetitive and boiling task to do on stream. Okay. Come on, please sit still. Please, thank you. And then my shredded attachment. Lovely. Wonderful, in fact. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and get a pot of water going. I did neglect to go ahead and get that in the beginning of the stream today, in the beginning of the show. So that's on me. I apologize for that sincerely. I do not sharpen my own knives. Correct, Elf. I do get them professionally sharpened. So, kimchi is going. We can cook the spinach, honestly, with the onions and the carrots, because otherwise we would just kind of like blanch the spinach. It doesn't really matter for something like this. We're still just going to season up with some sesame oil afterwards and mix it in into everything else. So, right now, only thing I want to go ahead and do, I'm going to grab a nice pot that can accommodate my glass noodles. Hopefully, this pot should be big enough. Let me see roughly. I don't know. Maybe we should do my Dutch oven for this. I think we need to go ahead and do my Dutch oven, everybody. It might be the only vessel that I actually have at home that is big enough to accommodate these massive, absurdly massive glass noodles. Look at these things. These things are huge and quite long. So, maybe my Dutch oven. Oh, but I don't want to have to clean my Dutch oven. It'll be fine. It'll be okay. I'll use my roommate's Dutch oven. Excellent. So, I'm going to take it. I'm going to fill this up with some nice cold water, everybody. And we're just going to get it boiling and put to the side and then leave it alone until we're ready to use it. So please forgive me as I once again take a second to fill it up. But yeah, everybody, today, this is a bit more maximalist than usual, I think. I think normally we do a really good job of keeping things super, super simple, especially in a home setting, but I wanted to go all out today. I wanted something rich, I wanted something delicious, I wanted something with a lot of yummy little components and a lot of yummy little treats in it. Filling it up, filling it up, filling it up. Perfect. And I'm just going to go ahead and get this guy boiling in the meantime. get it boiling, get it cooking, and put it away. All right, so specs, thank you for stopping by. It was lovely to have you nonetheless. Hope you have an excellent rest of your night. Pot of water, boiling, going. Let's go ahead and begin preheating my pan so that we can go ahead and soften up the onions, soften up the carrots, season them, and get them nice and cooked, everybody. Okay, so come with me to the stove. I have, of course, a nice little saute pan set up and ready to go for today. You could theoretically use a non-stick for something like this. We're not really going to be going for a lot of browning. Also, so specs, thank you so much for the tier 1 subs 6 months in advance. That is crazy of you to do. But the reason why I'm going to be using this stainless steel pan specifically is because we need it for the pork. As far as the onions and the carrots, it doesn't really matter. Okay? Really, truly does not matter. So, here's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to first move my cable aside that I have here holding up my light fixture. Everybody, the goal, the key to having a nice non-stick cooking surface is to heat it up medium and slow. I'm going to say it again, medium and slow. Everybody, look at how wide this pan is. Look at how much surface area it has. You take it, you blast it onto a high heat, and it will have hot spots and cool spots. We don't want hot spots and cool spots. We want it evenly heated so that none of the food sticks to it. How do we achieve that? Slowly heating it up. So I'm turning on the stove, I'm turning on the heat. Medium, low temperature, everybody. So many people, the biggest mistake that they do over and over again is they listen to all the people that say, oh, you can just turn it up to a maximum, and they heat it up for just a few seconds, and then the food sticks to the cool spots. We don't need too much oil. Again, the only goal right now is to kind of just soften up my vegetables. We need a little bit of oil so that it doesn't immediately stick when it does hit the pan. Okay, so I'm just going to be using a neutral oil in this case. You could use any kind of fat that you have laying around, okay? Some nice canola oil going in. Just enough for us to be able to glaze and cover up the bottom, and we're going to get this pan really nice and hot, everybody. Again, do not be tempted to go to a high heat. Trust me on this one. You want to go low and you want to go slow on this, okay? You'll get a nice evenly heated surface, even on such a big pan. Now, a lot of people, they also like to heat up their pans empty. It can also cause for a lot of uneven heating. Having some oil on during the heating process goes a pretty long way. It goes a fairly long way in achieving a nice evenly heated surface. Okay, wonderful, beautiful. So, I'm gonna have a little sip of water in the meantime as we're waiting for that guy to get done. Oh yeah, I have gochugaru and fish sauce in my fingernail slightly. Oh well, that's the reality of cooking at home. If anybody has any questions, now because of the fact that we're slowing down, we have a little bit more time, this would be an amazing time to go ahead and ask. I'm just gonna go ahead and check on my meat in the freezer, see how that's doing. Say hi, say hello. Hello, my friend. Are we nice and firm? It's getting nice and firm. We're going to be able to slice it up properly, nice and thin, and we're going to do that after we're done just cooking down these vegetables. I hope you cook for the next 6 months or do something else. I'm gonna be cooking for a very long time, so specs. I'm gonna be cooking, I think, for the rest of my life. Do I like to do any baking? So Amphibian, welcome on in. The reason why I don't love to do baking at home is for a couple of reasons. So I find it to be really clunky and messy in a home setting. Think about how much space a mixer takes up. Think about all the different bowls that you need to use. Think about how much flour gets everywhere and all over the place. And think about the inconsistency of a lot of your equipment, especially what it's like to own a home oven. Okay? I find that baking can be very clunky and cumbersome to do in a home setting. Second of all, for myself, I don't like to eat a lot of sweets. I try to cut out as much sugar out of my diet as possible. And so, in regards to specifically pastry baking, I don't bake. Now, the kinds of baking that we do here, we do some biscuits from time to time. I love being able to teach biscuits. We do soda bread, and we sometimes use like pre-bought phyllo pastry. Okay, but otherwise, I do not do baking simply because I think it is logistically very difficult to do at home. That is not for me to discourage people from baking at home. If you want to bake at home, go ahead, by all means, Godspeed. Not for me. I find it exhausting and I find it to be quite cumbersome. I find it very important to teach things that are suited to a home environment, that are fun to do in a home environment. And for me personally, baking is not fun to do in a home environment. So I hope that answers your question. Right, that's going, that's heating up, my friends. We want to go ahead and get it nice and hot. Again, the key is to heat it up on medium-low heat. High heat is almost never actually used in a kitchen. High heat will be only used for something like, a wok, right? You don't have to get the sides of the wok evenly heated through. With a wok, you're almost like deep frying inside of there, and you need a high heat so that the amount of times that you toss it, it doesn't actually cool it down too much. Okay, but generally speaking at home, never high heat. Never, never, never. Okay? As a chemist and engineer, I do enough measuring at work. Baking feels too close to that, so I just buy my bread. I see, white res. And yeah, it's just a lot of work, and it's not the kind of home cooking that I would like to be able to effectively teach people. We're going to go ahead and get this pan nice and hot. Before we add in the onions, before we add in the carrots, we'll cook it up really nice and good. Then we'll add the spinach, and then we'll take it out, and then we'll separately season it up with the soy sauce, as well as some sesame seeds. It'll be delicious. I don't want to separately blanch the spinach or anything, just because I think it'll be a little too much effort. Right, so we're doing it this way. Almost there, my friends. We're just, especially with a refined oil, with a canola oil, we're just looking for some very slight smoking. We don't need it to be too smoky, but you want to overheat your oil, because it will cool down once we do add in the cold food. Okay. So it's getting nice and hot. I'm just going to make sure that I have my kitchen tool ready for that, as well as a nice little coaster plate, so go ahead and put it on after. Almost there, everybody. Again, heating up nice and slowly. That is the key to getting an evenly heated pan. Right, let's distribute that oil once more. We don't want to overheat the oil so that the oil doesn't start burning and sticking or anything weird like that. Everybody, onions and carrots go in now. Onions and carrots go in, and look at the way on the stainless steel pan, by the way. Look at how my vegetables, even my shredded carrots, it's all gliding. It's all able to glide effectively. Why? Because I showed you and I taught you how to properly heat it up. Let's go ahead and make sure that everything is nice and properly seasoned with a good couple of pinches of salt. And again, only goal at this stage, everybody, we just want to be able to soften up my onions. We want to be able to soften up my carrots. And once they're mostly softened, we'll add in the spinach so that we can wilt the spinach. Okay, this is not a crazy amount of cooking or anything. This is just really, really quick and really, really easy. Okay? In it all goes. In she goes. Excellent. And again, I didn't want to do too much oil, even if it would help to facilitate the browning and it would stop the bottom of the pan from getting too sticky, because we'll be able to wash this pan afterwards. So about marinades, do you mean about searing, browning marinated meat is useless? Like would baking do a marinade justice? Elf, what I'm trying to say is marinating for flavor for meats almost never actually exists. The flavor of it never really penetrates. The kinds of marinating that do something are, first of all, pre-seasoning and salt. The salt is able to evenly penetrate everything. When you use enzymes, specifically in something like pineapple, okay, the pineapple is able to really, really effectively tenderize and break down the meat. But flavors don't penetrate, and that is a concept that is lost on a lot of people. Velveting works. Velveting tenderizes it, but velveting is not actually done for flavor, okay? But people also think that acid tenderizes meat. People think that lemon juice tenderizes it. And the reality is, acid only really affects like the top 16th inch of the layer on the top of the meat itself. It doesn't really tenderize it, as some people truthfully just romanticize it to do. Okay? So, onions in, carrots in. Again, everybody, we're not looking for browning. We don't need to really caramelize them or anything. We're just looking to get it nice and soft and nice and properly cooked, okay? Nice and easy, nice and simple. Get them done, get them out of here in just a few minutes. And we're stirring it often. and we're scraping up the bottom often. Remember, these are onions and carrots we're talking about. They have a lot of sugar in them. Okay, and as that sugar comes out, it will want to stick and burn at the bottom. So just every so often, we're just mixing it around. And scraping up the bottom, everybody. At this stage, I'm just going to go ahead and quickly taste some of the carrot. See if it hit my ideal softness. Translucency on the onion, not so much. I just want to have a little bit of bite to it. Why is my pot like vibrating? Guys, I hear like a vibration from somewhere, and I don't know where it's coming from. So odd. I think it might be my growing pot of water boiling. Okay. Guys, onions, carrots, we're just looking for the pungency of the onions to be gone. Really, so it'll take just a second longer. Keep it cooking. The bottom might not be even. I think that's the case. I think my oven grater is slightly vibrating a little bit. Okay. Guys, super simple, super easy. We're going to reuse this pan as much as possible, just so that, we're not creating too many excess dishes or anything. Okay. We're almost done with the process. Keep it all together. Taste those carrots again. With such thinly shredded carrots, they also take no time at all. Yep. Still got a good bite to it. We're almost there. Oh, then we'll cook the spinach. We'll season up the spinach. We'll cook the beef, or the pork rather. We'll thinly slice it up. It's still in the freezer. It's getting nice and firm. We'll cook the noodles, strain the noodles, season the noodles, assemble the bowl. So we got a lot of work ahead of us still. We're not at the finish line quite yet, everybody. Okay. Onions, nice and sweet. Pungency, gone. Take it off the heat. Let's get it out of here. It is all done. My onions and my carrots are ready to be mixed into my final product. We don't really want too much browning, just because this is such a maximalist dish with so many different little components that honestly, if we were to brown these onions, if we were to brown these carrots, I don't think that we would even really taste it. I think it would mostly just be a waste of our time. And sometimes in cooking, you need to know why you're doing the things that you do. Okay, so in we go. We're going to add the spinach, and we're going to add it alongside a little drop of water. Okay, the spinach is never really going to saute. It's going to immediately wilt. It's going to immediately shrink down. And in goes just a little splash of water. Just go ahead and wilt it down. Go ahead and cook it. We just want the spinach softened up enough that we can properly season it. And this takes absolutely no time at all. And at the same time, we successfully basically deglaze the pan, and we get all of these sugars from the onions and carrots, right? We clean up this pan so that we don't have to wash it before we do the pork. That's the really nice part about the step, right? The spinach, as you all can see, it is successfully wilting down. Don't worry about seasoning it yet. We're going to get to seasoning it in just a moment. Okay, good afternoon, my dread. Right? And we're almost done. Just a few leaves that I feel like are still a little too big and a little bit too raw. But I'm gonna say that that is just about where it needs to be. That's how quick the spinach takes. Takes no time at all. Chef, can I do a small disagreeing on marinating? Go ahead, Serena. I would like to hear what you have to say about it. You can absolutely, by the way, everybody, you're absolutely welcome to disagree with me on something. Just be ready to go ahead and back it up. So let's get that spinach out of here. Let's go ahead and lift it up. Come on, buddy. Let's go. We got places to be. I should have done this maybe with like tongs because this doesn't really want to scoop up or anything. A little extra time lets the flavor stick to the surface of the food, especially if it's cut up, like stir-fried chicken. Okay, Serena, here's what I would like to say to that. Here's what I would like to say to that. If your sauce that you are doing is viscous enough, it will be able to successfully stick to it. Now, the only things that would be able to really help to facilitate things sticking to the surface of something would be to mechanically perforate it. Mechanically perforate it, probably poke some holes in it, or make some striations, or like some little slices in with a knife. Or to, in that case, be able to use a little bit of acid. You want to use something a little bit acidic because, again, as I mentioned before, it sort of chews up the top surface of the meat itself, but it doesn't really allow the flavors to penetrate per se. But yes, if your goal is to get the things to stick to it, then it can help to stick to it in the presence of acid or mechanical perforation. But it still holds my point that it does not allow the flavors to properly penetrate. It does not penetrate. It's only the top 16th inch or so. It's a very, very small layer of it in reality. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly wipe off my pan just to be able to get it ready for the pork in a little bit. So that will be my answer for you, Serena. It's that, yeah, the flavor still is not actually penetrating. Sure, it might be able to stick to something a little bit better, but most people, they marinate with the hope, with the fantasy that it, you know, especially with the big roasts, that it goes all the way in, right? So, everybody is quickly wiping off my pan, getting all that spinach juice out of here, right? It kind of cleaned it up. We got some wilted spinach. So what do? We're going to season it up with just a little tiny bit of sesame oil. We don't want too much sesame oil after all. My pot of water is officially boiling, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn that down now. Little bit of sesame oil, everybody. Boop. A little bit, we have plenty in it as it is. We're going to go ahead and do some sesame seeds. Come on. Okay, and now a little tiny splash of soy sauce. We're making like a little, almost like salad in a way. So what is a marinade? What if the marinade is not pushing as much flavor into the meat, but introducing flavor in and of itself? Although I admit it would be a sauce at that point. That's correct, Nord. A lot of the people that marinate and then cook it with the marinade, they're actually just cooking a sauce. That's all that they're really doing. They're just cooking a sauce and then serving the meat with the sauce. So, soy sauce, sesame oil, sesame seeds. Here you go, little spinach salad basically. Mix it up, season it up, taste it, see how it is. Delicious. Very yummy. I love spinach so much, guys. Spinach done. Okay. Now, my friends, this is the beginning of the end. It is time for us to begin processing the pork. Okay, a lot of time has gone into freezing it, and now we're going to slice it really, really thinly. Okay, everybody, there's going to be a lot that I'm about to teach you here, okay? I'm going to let you in on a secret. I need everybody to say, yes, chef. I need all of you to listen to this. I need to make sure that you all understand what I'm about to teach you, because it's going to blow your minds, and it's going to make you let go of a few expectations that you might have had, a few fantasies that you might have had. I'm breaking fantasies today. Let me tell you something right now. You cannot properly brown thin, tiny cuts of meat all around. Anybody that tries to tell you otherwise, like thinly shredded meat or something, and they say, oh, brown it, like paper thin meat, you cannot. People that say put it on a pan and brown it, you cannot. Here's what you can do. You can get your pan to the hottest possible temperature. You can put the shredded meat on, and you can let it get a little bit brown on just one side. The only way that you would be able to properly get it brown is to overcook it to the point that all of the water evaporates, okay? And then you're browning the dry meat that is left behind. My goal is to just develop a little bit of browning before the meat expels liquid. When meat starts to hit around 140, 150 degrees internal temperature, which happens almost immediately with thinly shredded meat, it begins to push out water. That is why when you make ground beef and all of those awful home cooks who say, oh, brown your ground meat and then drain out the water and it looks gray, it's because it wasn't actually browned. There's only two ways that you can brown it. Either in the beginning stages, completely superficially, or by cooking it so long that the meat becomes really, really dry and the water evaporates, but only then you can go ahead and properly brown it. Guys, all of the people that marinate thin little tiny pieces of meat and then they saute it or brown it, they don't know what they're doing and it is a waste of time. It is not actually achieving anything. So, meat, I had it in my freezer for a little bit. Ideally, probably a couple of hours, I think would have been just the right amount of time. So this is still a little bit too soft for me. You want to freeze it so that it gets nice and firm, but as long as we have a sharp knife, we should more or less be okay. Let's pat it down, let's pat it dry, the best we can, right? To the best of our abilities, everybody. When it's frozen like this, it's just going to hold up that much better as we try to cut it, okay? This is some pork shoulder. You could use beef tenderloin. Honestly, guys, when you slice meat really, really thinly, you don't really have to worry about it being too tough, okay? Even with like tendons and stuff in it, I find that in my experience, again, slicing it really, really thin helps to mitigate so much of that. Okay, we have the meat. Again, ideally, frozen a little bit more solid would have been perfect for me, but that's okay. We have it. Now we want to get paper thin slices, my friends. As thin as we can. If you froze it rock solid, you could use a mandolin, you could use a deli slicer. In my case, just a nice sharp knife. I wish I froze it longer. Okay, so there you go. It's ready. We're going to slice it, my friends. Slice it. We're not chopping it. We are properly and beautifully slicing this meat into super, super thin, little teeny tiny pieces. Samim, welcome on in. I hope you're having an excellent day today. That one was a little bit too thick. That's okay. We can go ahead and do better with the next one, my friends. Thin, paper. I don't care if you kind of destroy the surface of it a little bit. Okay? I want you to get this as physically thin as possible. I don't like to buy supermarket shredded meat because by that point it expels so much water and it just does not brown nearly as easily and the texture of it is significantly compromised in my opinion. Thinly is the key to this, okay? Set it down. Let's go ahead and do this side a little bit. Thinly. Excellent. Thinly shredded up, my friends. Again, this is not a perfect job, but it's going to be okay. The worst mistake that you could make at this stage is to slice it too thick. If it's sliced too thick, it's going to get so tough, it's going to get so chewy, it's going to just curl up on itself. You want a nice sharp knife. I don't care if it almost becomes like ground meat. That's also going to be okay. In this case, it is okay if the texture gets a little bit destroyed. Okay? Again, it would be better if I froze this for longer, and I regret not having done so in retrospect. But guess what, my friends? Live and learn. If this was frozen longer, we could get much more beautiful cuts on this. There you go. And we're just assembling a nice little plate of all of this properly shredded meat. Okay, I'm going to quickly get this chunk of fat off the best that I can somehow. That's not going to be really necessary to include in this. But you want to use like a nice lean meat when you're shredding something super thin. Do I have any specific knives or kitchen I recommend? Lily, the answer is, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? What do you need? Because I got plenty of recommendations for those who come seek it. It just depends what you're going to market for. Okay. Paper thin. The closest that we can get to paper thin. Cutting it paper thin is how you transform even the toughest cuts of meat into something nice and tender. You were just done. Welcome on in. Hope you're having an excellent day today. Again, guys, not my best cutting job. Not by a million years. Why? It's a little too warm still. But we'll make do. Country girls always make do. clean up that meat, that pork shoulder. What am I making? Exclamation mark menu you just done, and you'll be able to get a full list. Okay. Take that bad boy, slice him in half, just to make it easier to process him up a little bit. And paper thin. Shred it up. Come on, buddy. Off you go. Thank you. Excellent. Perfect. Paper thin. Best that we can. Best that we can achieve. The thinner, the better. Are those perforated knives worth it for things that are not sticking to your knife? Noodle guy? Yes, so that's a really good question. I don't think they're worth it. I've tried them several times in the past. I don't actually think they do nearly as good of a job as some people like to say that they do. So I'm going to tell you confidently, no. I do not think that they are worth it. Yes, theoretically, less surface area, it shouldn't stick as much. In my practical experience, it has never actually done that job. Okay? So, just going back in there and getting this as thinly sliced as possible. Yeah, I'm mangling the meat a little bit. I'm going to say it. Chef, if he accidentally gave your partner way too much spicy in her food, what would you do to apologize? I will never date somebody that can't handle too much spice. Never. So I will never find myself in that position, Serena. Okay. Keep it going. Keep it going. Paper thin. There you go. Does anybody have any questions for me in the meantime? All of my pork, she's getting done. I'm going to go ahead and probably try to carve off this little tofu piece of fat that I have there. Not going to necessarily make for the best eating. I'm not really following any grains of meat in this or anything. Again, if you cut it thinly enough, if you cut it properly, the way that you cut it should not matter as long as, you get your ideal thickness. Getting a little slippery once it gets that small. Okay. Beautiful. Whew. A little bit repetitive, right? A little bit annoying. Sometimes cooking is like that. This would be a lot more enjoyable if I had done the things I told you to do. Just shave off that little bit of silver skin. Do I have any experience with using bird-eye chilies? Asks Nord Guy. I've been using small Thai chilies in my salads recently for fun, and I'm wondering if they could be a big step up from what I'm doing currently. So, bird's eye chilies, it depends where you're buying them. Some people might just be selling those as Thai chilies. They're all different, Nord. I would say this, have the confidence to go ahead and experiment and learn. Would it be a very big step up? Just try it out. Try it out. I'm not actually the best at differentiating. If you're asking about like the different heats of different chilies, I'm not the best person to ask about that, honestly. I don't have access to a lot of different chilies, right? I live in the United States. I have jalapenos, I have serranos. Sometimes we get habaneros, but most of the time I can't even get bird's eyes. I can't get Thai chilies, where I am at least. Going all the way through. Look at that beautiful shred of meat. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So everybody, the only way that we can get this meat to be nice and properly browned is as soon as we put it down on that first side, we do not touch it. We do not touch it. We don't mix it around. We don't want to cool it off. We just want it to brown in the initial stage. And then afterwards, we'll add in the sauce and it'll be perfect. So, again, meat getting mangled. Why? Wasn't cold enough. That's okay. Even with a sharp knife, this is what's going to happen. You've learned my lesson. You know what I've told you to do. Now go ahead and execute on it, my friends. Okay. Almost done. Almost done. I'm on a tighter budget, around $200, and I'm looking for a knife that can do almost everything for day-to-day use. So, Persephone, in that case, I don't remember how much mine cost. This is the Mizuno UX10 Gyudo. That is a daily driver that I use for almost all of my slicing needs. That one I'll highly recommend. $200 is an excellent budget. Here's the brands that I would look into. I would look into Mizuno. I don't like Zwilling very much, besides the Zwilling Kramer knives. I really do not like Wusthof. I do not like Wusthof. They might have been good maybe in the 70s or 80s, but most of the Wustofs that I've used, I don't know. I'm never really happy with their shape. I'm never really happy with their weight. Okay, guys, take a look. All of my pork, beautifully and properly shredded now. That is what I am talking about. That's it. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I wanted to achieve. Okay. That's it. Yeah, not crazy about Wusthof. I feel like they never hold an edge, at least for some of the models that I use with the steel. I don't know what it is about them, but never really liked them. I felt like they couldn't hold an edge. I never found their shape to be comfortable. Pork has now been shredded. Everybody, let's go ahead and heat up our pan. Once again, medium, medium, low. Now, this is one of the few times I will ever say, I want that pan as hot as humanly possible, my friends. I want that meat to become instantly brown as it hits the pan, but you need to let go of your fantasy. You will not be able to brown it as it cooks. It will only be able to get brown in its initial most stage. Okay? So many people, they say, oh, stir fry it. Oh, move it around. That is just not true. It is not able to properly brown this way, my friends. So, we want to get it hot. We want that oil to get smoking hot. It's going to take some time. It's going to take more than just a few minutes. Okay, you have to be patient for this process. We're going to add in some oil, right, just to help brown the meat. Even though the pork shoulder does have a little bit of fat to it, we're going to make sure that we add a good amount of it in. Okay? We don't need so much that it becomes greasy. We want a nice wide pan with a lot of surface area on it, because if it's going to be too tight, it's just going to end up steaming. But again, everybody, the browning stage is going to take maybe 20 seconds. In that time, if we heat this pan to hell and back and we get it smoking, we should be able to develop a little tiny bit of browning in the beginning stages, in the beginning 30 seconds. We put it down and we don't mix it around. So, let me explain to you the importance of this. Let me explain to you the power of this. If you put it down and you start mixing it, you don't give it enough time for the crust to develop. You start agitating all of these really delicate shreds of meat. You're kind of pushing out some of the liquid, okay? And then third, you're going to cook it too fast. You're going to cook the other sides too fast. If the other sides cook too fast, it will expel liquid. So everybody, when this goes on, we just flatten it and we let it go to get brown until it starts releasing water, okay? That is the real secret to this. That's the only kind of browning that we can realistically achieve within this pork shoulder's lifetime because of how thin it is. Just checking on my boiling water, seeing what my water level is like inside of here. Probably could use more, honestly. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill that up while I'm at it. Just so that it's boiling and ready to go for my glass noodles. I got a Tojiro Damascus Nikiri for around $100 and it's good. What do I think of Tojiro? I actually don't have any experience with Tojiro, so I'm not really able to give my input there, I'm afraid. Just making sure my glass noodles will be properly submerged in the water. Everybody, remember what I said, smoking hot. You do not want to heat this up on high. If you heat it up on high, you will have empty bits around the pan. Okay, also, is the wish list empty? Well, thank you so much for whoever was able to go ahead and buy me some stuff. That was very sweet of you. Pan, we're gonna get it hot. We're going to get it ready to go for today. We're going to add the pork. We don't even really need to worry about seasoning it because it's mostly gonna be around the sauce. So, Electric, welcome on in. Thoughts on using a sous vide for cooking meats, steak or otherwise at home. Here's my thoughts on sous vide. They're amazing for crowds. Crowds of people, especially if you're doing something like steaks and you don't want to be consistently babysitting it, I think it's excellent. It can also be fun from a food experiment kind of perspective where you want to be able to try and do new things. There's a couple of considerations with them. First of all, there's like this kind of psyop saying like, oh, cooking in plastic doesn't release anything. It's been proven a few times that even sous videing in what is considered the safe kind of plastic does release something or the other. Now, we use plastic all the time in the kitchen, right? We freeze things, we have freezer bags as it is, so, that's already a danger that is ever so present, right, in our daily lives. It takes up a lot of space. If you have the space for it and you want the convenience and you don't really care about the health stuff that could be potentially associated with it, then go ahead and Godspeed is my answer to you. Everybody. The spinach is done. The carrots and onions are done. The seasoning sauce for the pork is done and the pork is shredded. The kimchi is sitting in my fridge. The last things that we have to do is cook the pork and the glass noodles. If you like what you're watching so far, please feel free to go ahead and check out my Patreon. You can type in !Patreon in the chat. Otherwise, you can do !tip or donate if you would also like to financially directly support the cooking show. Any and all help there would be appreciated because my goal is to be able to go full-time one day. Okay, so that pan, I'm getting it hot. I'm getting it ready to go, everybody. I'm going to get it smoking hot for my pork. It's gonna happen. It's gonna do its thing. It's going to be perfect. We want it hot. And when I say hot, I mean aggressively hot. Okay? We're gonna get that seared, and I will show you the best way to be able to get a sear on something like shredded meats. What do I think about pressure cookers? So you just an excellent question. I love my pressure cooker. I use it all the time for stocks, and I use it for some stews, and I use it for beans. I don't actually really always like doing every kind of stew because it's such a high temperature that it tends to overcook and make the outside of something really mealy. I think pressure cookers are best for small chunks of meat, but not like big short ribs. And I also don't like sautéing in my pressure cooker because it's not very evenly heated. Okay? It doesn't give you good color on it. It also warps the pan over time. I keep it to purely pressure cooking, but I highly advocate for people to have one at home. Okay, the pan is getting there, my friends. It is getting hot. It is soon going to be ready to go. Hopefully the plastic up here doesn't really melt or anything, but who cares? It's just going to be on my light. How can I convince people there's nothing wrong with pressure cookers? Well, there is something wrong with them, which is, historically, some of the older models, yeah, they kind of exploded. There's been more than one death as a result of a pressure cooker. And granted, there's a lot of like fail-safes and a lot of checks that you can go ahead and do, right, in order to go ahead and prevent that from being a possibility. Everybody, my pan is currently smoking hot. That is exactly what we want. Again, the only crust that will be developed will be in this beginning stage. So, if everybody's ready to begin cooking, I want to hear a nice, resounding, yes, chef, please and thank you. Because it's time for us to cook the pork. It's hot, it's smoking. That's exactly what I'm looking for. We don't want it to be so smoking that the oil starts like polymerizing or anything crazy like that, but you want it to be smoking hot, especially with a refined oil. It's a good indication of its temperature. It was heating up for a nice long time. Let's go. Stove, pan, tongs, rotate it just to ensure that we have as even heating as possible. In goes my pork. In it goes. In it goes. My friend, just lay it in and just make it flat. Just make it flat. Don't move it. Just push it around. Push it around. Push it around like this. Almost like a cheesesteak. If you've ever seen how they make a cheesesteak. Just like that. Just like that. That's it. And leave it alone. Step away. Get out of there. Let it brown. Do not move it. Do not flip it. Do not stir it. Do not do anything to it. Right now, this is the only point where it can get brown. As soon as you hear that sizzling die out, it will stop browning. And the only way that you can brown it afterwards is by evaporating all of the excess liquid that comes out of it. And that would result in dry meat. Everybody, do we want dry meat? Or do we want nice, juicy, delicious, tender meat? Okay? Listen to the sound. Listen to how the music is changing. It's becoming slowly more and more low-pitched. It's going from a ps to a psh that is the indication that it is beginning to release liquid. But everybody, even with shredded meat, I will show you the color that it obtains. So once that searing sound is mostly gone, once it is mostly done with, you will see the end result. My favorite tool for the job would be to use a fish spatula. A fish spatula is able to really get up and in there. Okay, so that is what I would recommend for the job quite like this one. So look at the bubbles forming around the sides. Everybody, guess what? We have officially left the browning stage. Or rather, we're beginning to. The water is coming out of the pork. Now it can no longer brown. So let me let you in on a secret. All of the people that say, oh, continue to fry it, continue to stir fry it, absolute nonsense. Things cannot brown in the presence of significant moisture. Or rather, it significantly slows it down. If this was frying in a vat of oil, of course it would be able to get crispy, but it's not. Look, all the water is coming out. That is okay. Now, my friends, take it, scrape it over, and we're able to get, indeed, a little bit of browning. And that is perfect for today. That is all that we needed out of this. Look at the color that we got on this. On one side, we got a crispy. We got a little bit of that delicious, right, browned, meaty flavor out of it. But if we mix it immediately, we would not have achieved that at all. It would not have been physically possible. So, move it around, right? It's no longer frying, everybody. It's not searing. Those days are done with. Cope. Understand that it's all gone. We got a little bit of color, and that is exactly what we wanted to achieve. That is still perfect. So, I'm very happy about this. That was exactly the end result. Look at it releasing its juices. Do not feel pressured to necessarily evaporate all of it or anything. All I'm going to do, go in with my sauce. I want to cook my sauce. I want to cook my sesame oil, my honey, my soy sauce. Okay? All of it in. I will get it cooked, and we'll get it pork nice and delicious. It doesn't need to braise. It does not need to cook for an extended amount of time. Only thing we really want to do is just to reduce all of that sauce that we added, and we may need to add more soy sauce to this because this does not currently have the color that I'm looking for. But right now, my friends, we want to evaporate some of this water, okay, so that it's able to almost create like a nice little syrup to be able to glaze the meat itself. So, a little bit more soy sauce goes in. I'm pretty confident in my quantity of honey that I had going into this. So I don't think we're going to need any more of that whatsoever. We just want to cook my garlic. We want to cook my ginger now. And we just want to make sure that all of the pork is successfully cooked through. Had I done a little better job of this, I would have been able to get a thin slice. Okay? So, we just want to cook this until it looks syrupy, until it looks thick enough to be able to coat the pork itself. Have a little taste, have a little bite in the meantime. See how that's going? Because the thinnest pieces should be cooked at this stage. Delicious, everybody. Wonderful. However, I will say, lacking in a little bit of sweetness. I want the meat to have some sweetness to it. So normally, I really wouldn't like to cook with added sugars or honey. But today, I'm willing to let loose a little bit. Willing to let go of some of my previous inhibitions. So let's reduce it till it gets that syrupy, delicious consistency. 1 and 2, go in. Perfect. And just move it around. Get it everywhere. Get it infusing. Scrape up anything that could be stuck to the sides. Get everything nice and dissolved. Get it all nice and dissolved. Get it all dissolved. And everybody, I'm happy to let you know that the pork is just about done. It is almost done. Another second of cooking and it will be perfect. Again, we don't want to cook it into oblivion. We don't want it to be dry. Okay? Honey rather than cornstarch, I love it. Yeah, we're able to get a syrupy thickness to it even without the addition of cornstarch in this case. Okay, and that's just purely through the sheer amount of honey that we're using. And everybody, while we're at it, let's go ahead and get some sesame seeds in there as well. Well, please tell me I didn't spill any sesame seeds. I did not. Sesame seeds on. Lovely. There you go, everybody. Look at that syrupy viscosity to it now. That's what we're looking for. That's what we want. And it's going to get a little bit thicker as it cools down, so don't feel pressured to cook this too much past this point. We're going to grab a little taste of this pork, see how it's doing, how's it treating us. Delicious. Let's stop the cooking. Everybody, that pork is done, and it is yummy. Shiitake mushrooms, sesame seeds, sesame oil. Perfect and all set and all ready to go for today. What's the last step? Let's go ahead and cook those noodles. Nice looking food, chef. Thank you, Everglade. The pork is all done. And again, you could do the same exact thing with the beef here, but I taught you all, I showed you all how much it needed. I showed you how to properly get even something like this browned, okay? Now, my pot, whoa, hello. What just happened? My towel got caught under the grates for a second. Did not like that. There you go. Get that back onto the heat. Get that back cooking. Let's move my pork aside. This is going to be where the noodles cook. There she is in all of her glory. I'm running out of space to put things like lids, so please forgive me. Whoa. Do we have a Discord? Yes, we do. Exclamation mark Discord, Persephone. And you can go ahead and join that up. Okay. Wonderful. Everybody, about 6 to 7 minutes. Not too much cook time. This does not need extended cooking or anything. My sweet potato glass noodles. In she goes. In she goes, and we'll stir it up in a second to stop it from sticking. Stir it up in a second. I'm just going to grab probably just a couple of chopsticks or something. Move it around. Make sure it's not sticking, everybody. Just agitate it a little bit and get those sweet potato noodles cooking. Hello? What are you? Who is this? Is that a piece of cabbage? How did a piece of No, I have never seen that before. That, oh my God, guys, look at that. That is like, that looks like a Prince Rupert drop. That really is a glass noodle. What? Look at it. Uh-oh. Oh boy. 6-7 minutes or so in boiling water, my friends. Oh, is that just the noodles having already stuck to each other? Is that what that is? Yeah, that is just a gelled up thing of glass noodles. Well, I hope that doesn't happen to more of them, because that would suck. That would be really annoying to deal with. Boil it, cook it down. Prince Rupert noodles tonight, that's right. Mmm, yummy, delicious. Yeah, glass noodles, guys, I do not recommend eating raw. They are not particularly tasty. So, take my advice, please. Okay? Just making some space on my table, making some space on my cutting board. And everybody, let's get a nice big strainer ready to go inside of the sink so that when we dump it out, we don't have to worry about it, we don't have to stress about it. Right, just gonna get that done well ahead of time. Few more minutes of cooking and then we'll be solid. Guys, I love glass noodles. I love the texture. I love this chewiness to them. I love everything about a glass noodle, I must say. Let's go ahead and grab a nice big strainer. I'm gonna throw it into the sink. Make sure my towels are all set and all ready to go. Is this my own recipe? Somewhat, India, also welcome on in. But the answer is mostly, you know, the things that we do here are just things that I have learned over a very long time of cooking. I'm here to show you techniques. I'm not here to show you exact recipes. Two more minutes, everybody, and then we'll be all set. For today, I'm going to taste one of my noodles just to see how far along has it come. A little too much bite. We don't want it al dente. We just want bounciness, okay? That's what we're looking for. Bounciness, chewiness, but definitely not like a pasta al dente or anything. A few more minutes and then it shall be solid. Is everybody excited for this? I'm excited for this. I can't wait to be able to assemble it all. Ooh, I should probably get my kimchi out of the fridge while we have a second of time as well. Oh, my lovely fresh kimchi. Guys, I adore kimchi. Life without kimchi would not be worth living. Almost done. It's almost where it needs to be. Come back, try another noodle, just to see where we're at. Soon as my clock says 7:26, it might be a little bit off compared to you guys. Got a little Twitch latency going on. But that will be the time that I know to pull it. Okay? I'm happy to report that it's probably done. So everybody, you know what you need to do? Run cold water. And yes, ants climbing a tree. We did that we did that last week, exactly last week. You were just guys, we want to stop the cooking. We want to make sure that those glass noodles do not get too soft at this stage. 6, 7, 8 minutes or so, usually the exact amount of time that you want. Take it into the sink, cold running water, strainer, now. Initiate. Oop, step back for that steam. For the second. Ugh. And now, my friends, I'm just going in there and I'm rinsing off my noodles in some cold water. And I'm stopping them from sticking to each other and I'm stopping the cooking process. Okay? Rinse them off, rinse them off, rinse them off. Agitate them, get it done. Perfect. Ooh, that was still boiling hot in there. You want to go all the way around. The noodles, they do an exceptional job of trapping hot liquid. So agitate it and flip it around, guys. Really properly flip it around. You do not want to neglect this step. Okay. Oh wow, there's a few chunks of like glass noodles that have like totally stuck to each other. Huh. Okay. It's almost ready to show off, everybody. Just one more second of just properly rinsing them off. I don't think it stops them from sticking as much as it just like stops them from overcooking and turning into mush, because they really hold on to a lot of super, super hot water. And we're also rinsing off a lot of the starchy liquid that it ended up cooking in. Okay, how does it taste? Should be nice and bouncy, should be nice and chewy, but it shouldn't feel hard in the center at all. Everybody, I think it's perfect. Oh, I'm ready to show you all. I cannot wait to show you all these glass noodles. I'm just tossing them up and down. I'm straining them off really quickly. And then we can begin assembly in just a moment. Just shaking them, shaking them, shaking them. We don't want them to be too wet after all. Okay. I don't think I can shake off any more liquid, my friends. So, let's get a bowl. Let's get a nice big bowl, in fact. Nice big bowl. Get my phone out of here. Get my towel out of here as well. Let's get a nice big bowl. Something that can properly accommodate a good handful of my noodles. And that's exactly what I'm about to grab. I'm going to grab a nice big handful of them for this portion. Although we could probably do all of it. Let's do all of it. So, take a look. Glass noodles, perfectly cooked, nice and chewy. Here's the issue. They are long as hell. Guys, these things are way too long to eat and way too long to serve. This might seem preposterous. This might seem sacrilegious, but if anything, actually, this is quite traditional. You know what a lot of people do? You know what a lot of Korean households do? Scissors. Yup, 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 yup. Mix it around for a second. This helps. You don't want it to be too small. Just a few little snips here and there. Again, this might seem sacrilegious to some of you, but this is quite traditional to do. In this case, it really, really helps. 1, 2, and 3. And I think now we have something that's going to be a lot easier for us to properly handle. Okay, that's done. That's how we are giving it a bit of a haircut. Everybody, one last little step of seasoning. We want to season this bad boy, okay? We don't want bland noodles. Even when it gets all mixed in, we don't want it to be bland. So how do we season it? Oh, with our beloved soy sauce, of course. Let's get some soy sauce. Few generous glugs of soy sauce, in fact. Let's get some sesame oil in there. Generous glug of sesame oil. We could do sugar, but honestly, I have enough sweet ingredients that I don't feel the need to. Okay, let's mix it around. Let's get those noodles nice and properly seasoned. Everybody, we are about to assemble. I'm going to need one more final yes, chef, from everybody watching because you're going to see how beautiful it's going to be. Could you use ponzu sauce instead? So gracefully insane. I think that would be delicious. It would not be within the flavor lexicon of Korean food in this case, right? Or like something japchae inspired, but you absolutely can. You can use whatever you would like to season these. But we have some saltiness, we have some nuttiness now. I'm going to try a little bit of it. Very good. Still maybe a little too light in terms of seasoning, but it's not going to be able to coat it exceptionally well. So another glug of soy sauce goes in. Some sugar again, you could do if you would like to, but I would like to abstain because I think I have enough sugar in my kimchi as well as in my pork shoulder. Okay. Really mix it up. Really get it all around. Taste it again. See how's it doing this time around? Quite tasty, quite yummy. Everybody, it is now going to be time for us to plate. The moment we've all been waiting for. A lot of ingredients, a lot of components. It's now time for all of it to come together once and for all. I'm going to grab a nice wide bowl. A bowl I can be confident will be able to present all of my ingredients properly. So, let's go in with a bunch of the glass noodles. Now, normally you would mix this in, but I've realized I actually quite like doing the topping effect instead. Okay, look how long some of these noodles are still. Come on, buddy. On you go. Thank you. There she is. Come on. There you go. Okay? Maybe a little bit more noodles, now that I'm looking at the amount that I have there. Okay? Now, everybody, my spinach goes down on one section. Excellent. Next, my onions and my carrots. Properly and beautifully cooked. Next, my incredible pork. Syrupy, sweet, delicious, and flavorful. Okay, gorgeous. Next, scallions. Nice, generous pile of scallions. Last but not least, everybody, let's put the kimchi directly on it, because why not? Kimchi. Get some from the bottom. Get some of the really, really delicious, or actually, maybe we should do it separately. Guys, what do you think? I think this bowl looks pretty complete as it is. Or do we want to eat kimchi with this? You know what? I'll move my spinach over here. We'll fake it till we make it, I suppose. I'll move my spinach over. I would love to get a nice pretty plate. And then we'll go ahead and grab a nice pile of my fresh kimchi. And I think that's going to do, and that's going to do quite nicely. I am going to take a picture. Well, I still can. Okay, everybody, guess what? We're all done for today. Let's talk about everything that went into this. Homemade fresh kimchi, green cabbage, Napa cabbage. We soaked it in some salt. We made a seasoning paste out of onions, out of ginger, out of garlic. We shredded carrot, we shredded scallions, we mixed it in. We added Geotjeori. We added some lovely fish sauce as well. Next, what do we have here? Spinach, quickly cooked, a little bit of sesame oil, a little bit of soy sauce. Carrots and onions, cooked down, nothing crazy. The pork shoulder, froze it, slice it thin. Made a seasoning sauce out of shiitake mushrooms, soy sauce, sesame oil, ginger, and some garlic, and some honey. Nice pile of scallions, and all of it over a gorgeous bowl of glass noodles. Now, let's go ahead and properly destroy my incredible plating and mix all of this incredible stuff together. And we can enjoy. Once and for all, mix it in. Let's mix everything in. How does it taste? We're about to find out. Let's mix in my spinach. Let's mix in my noodles. Let's have a nice just bite of my noodles just by themselves. Some pork. Some kimchi. Fresh fresh kimchi can be bland, India, but guess what? It is completely and totally stylistic. It's up to you. If you want it to be less bland, you just make it more pungent. Mm. Ooh. That is really delicious. Mm. Mm. Oh, man. Mm. This is such a treat. This is so delicious. I'm making an absolute mess eating this. I want to enjoy this off camera. I want to enjoy this off stream. Everybody, guess what? We're done food today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching the show. If you'd like to support the show, exclamation mark Patreon, patreon.com/Daramgar, something like that. Best way to financially support the show. My goal is to go and do this full time one day. Next stream is going to be this Sunday, 5 p.m. EDT, every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. On Sunday, I'm going to announce a different schedule for a couple of weeks because I'm going to be gone for some Brahala week. Okay? Yeah, do we have anything else in mind? Nope. Be well, be safe. Have a good Friday night, everybody. And I'm going to see you all this Sunday really, really shortly. Bye-bye. Thanks for being